And welcome everybody to Spiritual Warfare Friday, our favorite time of the weekend. I'm your host, Dan Bidondi, and Brian Reece, our second co-host here. So, yeah, we got an awesome show for you today, guys. We really just made it to the wire here. So we apologize about being a few minutes late. Just had a wrestling match earlier and all kinds of things, traffic, whatever the case. And it's freezing like heck out here. That's for sure in here in Rhode Island. So anyway, the title of tonight's show is Time Travel, Glitches, and Portals. And we got a treat for you tonight, guys. I'm going to be talking all about this and also with scripture and everything else. And, with the occult too, with the world elite. We got a good show for you today, which Brian, he's got a whirlwind of information we're going to get into in just a minute. So before we get going, guys, again, welcome to Time Travel, Glitches, and Portals. And thank you, FOJCRadio.com for carrying this show, and also BeforeIt'sNews.com for advertising for us as well. So tonight's show is brought to you by WattsLeather.com. It's Josh Watts Leather. It's WattsLeather.com. The links are for all the stuff, guys, are in the description. Where your custom leather project becomes a reality. It's watchleather.com. And guys, we got special t-shirts and mugs going on tonight, and we're going to post a link in the chat room there. But it's a fundraiser, basically raise money for the show and everything else. And, for me and Brian for our equipment and all that stuff. So we got some cool t-shirts here that's going to go along, the Time Travel mug, Time Travel Glitches and Portals, Spiritual Warfare Friday, and that's available right now. How much is that mug, Brian?
Oh, the mug is $12.
$12 for the mug, so that's pretty cool. And we get a few dollars out of it, and it goes toward the show. So, and it's good because it's a big mug, so, good enough for soup, whatever, too. So if you're going to have a soup or whatever the case watching our show because it's cold out, or some coffee, there you go, you know what I mean? So we're going to put the links in the chat room in a couple minutes here. So anyway, welcome, Brian. How you doing, man? And by the way, Jason Bidondi, he's in the house, too. He's in the background here. So what's up, Jason? Talking to the mic.
What's going on, everybody?
Jason's like David Carrico. We gotta keep putting the mic in his face.
What's going on?
What's going on, guys?
We hear you, Jason.
We hear you, man.
But yeah, shalom, Dan. Shalom,
Shalom.
Jason. Shalom, everybody out there in the audience tonight.
And thank you,
Man.
Valerie and Uncle Obvious, guys, for the
Yeah.
moderating the chat. So
Yeah, this has been a very interesting week, and to compile this even to get to this point, Dan, praise God that we're even able to do this program this evening. So Dan's not been feeling good. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen this week, and praise God that we're here tonight. So I'm really stoked to be here, and I know Dan is also. Got a huge topic tonight with time travel glitches and portals. It's kind of up my alley. If y'all watch some of my stuff I do on my Visual Disturbance channel, we talk about a wide variety of topics. And this one, I really am going to dig into some deep topics. We're going to go to military applications, etc., and all these different things. And a lot of new alternative thinking. I always refer to it as, I changed the name from New Age to New, new alternative thinking, because that's where the world's headed, it seems. But there's a lot of documents and a lot of content that we're going to be putting into the show tonight. So just hang on to your seats, everybody, and don't throw your heater. It's like a -20 up there in Rhode Island, and it's like 22 degrees here in Kentucky. And don't throw your heater like Dan and Jason do in the background. So just hang on to your seat, everybody. So here we go. Yeah,
it's cool because a landlord texted me earlier, and he actually turned the heat on for me before I got here. So that's pretty cool.
That is good, Dan. I don't want to sing my "Let the Heaters Hit the Floor" at the beginning of the broadcast. I don't want to bore everybody with my nonsense singing, but let's do this thing, Dan. You ready? Is there anything else that we forgot to? Oh, yeah, just hit the subscribe button to the Dan Bidondi Show. Welcome, everybody, if you're new to the channel. We appreciate you. And go check out that mug and the T-shirt. Me and Dan appreciate it. And, and subscribe to Visual Disturbance channel. I really would appreciate that. And hit that like button for this broadcast tonight. So this is going to be, it's going to be crazy, Dan. If you want to start popping the slides up, or Jason, if you want to throw a heater before you go just to seal the deal that we're going to start this thing, whatever you want to do, y'all fire it off. Oh, I heard something. Yeah, I didn't hear no cats in the background, little meow meow, or anything like that from his text messages, or anything like last Friday. Let's do this thing.
All right, so we got this first slide on the Lost Journals of Nikola Tesla, Time Travel, Alternative Energy, and the Secret of Nazi Flying Saucers. Me and David Carrico actually talked about a lot of that too when we did our Nazis over Antarctica show. That was pretty cool. That's on our Rumble channel because, the stuff in there, YouTube frowns upon. But anyway, go for it, Brian.
Yeah, speaking of Nikola Tesla, just to throw us out here, I've heard all kinds of different random theories and conspiracy theories on this top. Well, on Nikola Tesla alone, and the whole Elon Musk connection and all that. I'm just going to throw it out there real quick since we're speaking of that. I've heard anything to do with cloning and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get into this book. So here's a book I'm referencing tonight, The Lost Journals of Nikola Tesla. Tim Swartz, listen, welcome to Spiritual Warfare Friday, and welcome to... not the best punctuation, not the best speaking ability in the Kentucky flavor, but we're going to get this thing knocked out tonight. So hang on, everybody, hang on. so referencing this book, so there's a section here talking about outside of time and space. They're referring to Nikola Tesla as out of the box thinker. I'm not going to toot my horn, but I would probably say in my realm of my thinking and who just me in general, the Lord is just I think outside the box, even if the box is, a piece of cardboard. So let's just get into it then, referring to this book and talking about Nikola Tesla. In 1895, while conducting research with his step-up transformer, Nikola Tesla had his first indication that time and space could influence by using highly charged rotating magnetic fields. Real quick, for the record, we're going to be going down I'm taking a little pause here. We're going to be talking about a lot of wild stuff, a lot of what ifs, a lot of controversial topics, and a lot of data that suggests is time travel real? Is there glitches? I really do believe there's portals, and there's what is the time travel narrative? And I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the broadcast, but and I'm gonna show a few scriptures and show another book that is. It's like of apocrypha. I don't know if it's in the apocrypha, but it's Baruch 4 or the fourth book of Baruch. We're going to get into that later on. But anyways, let's get back into this Nikola Tesla book. I just want to share it real quick because there's going to be a lot of what ifs, and me and Dan are going to hold to the word of God. We're not going to steer away from it. We're not going to get caught up in this stuff, but this is just for research purposes only. And we're trying to expose the go ahead, Dan. You want me to keep talking while you're on mute, Dan?
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, guys. It's just like we got a new background, so I just want to mention, guys, because a lot of people said that Matrix background we had, things go up and down the screen, it was bothering a lot of people. We apologize about that. So, guys, if you got any feedback at all, don't feel bad. Say, hey, listen, we don't like your background, whatever. We try to accommodate people, so that's why we just changed it back. I literally just did this a couple minutes ago, and thanks to Brian for making the background videos for that. So, because the Matrix code thing, like it was like, especially people with epilepsy, whatever the case was, like messing them up. So we apologize about that. And also, big thing we forgot to do. Number one thing before we started the show, we should have done this. We've been in a rush today, so let's reset everything right now and let's do a prayer. So anyway, Yeshua Messiah Jesus, we come to you and we ask you to forgive us for our sins and trespasses individually. And we ask you, Heavenly Father, to bless us with your divine knowledge and understanding, to help us expose the enemy and to help us learn your knowledge. And we pray that you bless everybody here, especially with this hard winter right now, and keep everybody warm, especially the homeless out there right now suffering. We pray that you can warm them in the hearts, in their minds, and their bodies, and their souls, and feed them and clothe them, and just protect the people out there right now that are out in the cold, and keep everybody else here warm as well, and protect us all against the enemy, plain and simple. So we love you, Heavenly Father, in your name, amen.
Amen, Dan. Amen. Let's get back on the horse. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. That's like, Armando actually pointed out, too. You guys should pray. Actually, a lot of people did, too. You guys should pray before. Yeah, it's the number one thing. Yeah. So pray.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Let's just glitch back in. Let's glitch back and push that rewind button. Are we back on the VHS platform? You going to rewind that thing, get back? Oh, let's just rewind it, okay? we're gonna do a little time loop and rewind it here. Back, speaking of time and space. Let's get back into this Nikola Tesla book. I'll restart and refresh here. Let's refresh. So while conducting, if you want to pull the slide back up, Dan, that'd be cool. So while conducting in his setup to transformer, Nikola Tesla had his first indication that time and space could be influenced by using a highly charged rotating magnetic field. Part of this revelation came from Tesla's experiment with radio frequencies and the transmission of electrical energy through the atmosphere. Tesla's simple discovery would years later lead to infamous Philadelphia experiment and Montauk time travel projects, which we are going to refer here in a little bit to Project Pegasus also, and get into the Philadelphia experiment after we talk about this book a little bit more, which is there's a lot of nefarious things that's went on in our past in the last 100 years. Excuse me. But even before these high top secret military programs came about, Tesla made some fantastic discoveries on nature of time and the real possibilities of time travel. With the experiments of high voltage electricity and magnetic fields, Tesla discovered that time and space could be breached or warped, placing anyone with this field outside of time, space, yet capable of observing the past, present, and infinity possibilities of futures. However, with this monumental discovery, Tesla also discovered through personal experience the very real dangers inherited with time travel. So just for the record, some of the stuff, I just read it, I don't believe it. Like when it comes into the infinite possibilities, me and Dan do not get on the multi-interdimensional 50,000 billion versions of us and the multi-dimensional, that we don't get into that stuff. So just throwing it out there. Tesla's brush with time travel came in, this blows my mind, March of 1895. It's just mind-boggling. So we get into the News Herald that in March the 13th in that same year, he came across the inventor in a small cafe looking shaken after being hit by 3.5 million volts. Yeah, must have been watching too much 1985 Back to the Future, which we're going to be referring to that movie here in a little bit. And then Tesla said, "I'm afraid," said Tesla, "that you won't find me pleasant companion tonight. The fact is, I almost got killed today. I almost died today. The spark jumped 3 feet through the air and struck me here on the right shoulder. If my assistant had not turned off the current instantly, it might have been the end of me." Tesla, on the contact, a resonating electrical magnetic charge, found himself out at the side of his time frame reference. So he's basically saying he's like having an out of body experience, so to speak, because he's talking about the charge basically got him out of his body. So we're going to get in. He's not referring to this the book, the notes and the references of his Tesla's notes, but it's just kind of ironic. That's what he's referring. He reported that it could be an intimate past, present, and future all at once, but he was paralyzed with the electrical magnetic field, unable to help himself, his assistant, by turning off the current, released Tesla before any permanent damage was done. Because of this incident, Tesla began to theorize about electricity and magnesium power to warp and rather change space and time, the procedure which man could forcefully control this power. Near the end of his life, Tesla fantasized, that's what it says, with the idea of light as both of a particle and a wave, fundamental proposition already incorporated into quantum physics, which that is a big thing. Dan, you can pull off a slide if you want to now. But it's just interesting that is a thing now, that everybody is going into quantum entanglement, quantum physics. They're teaching that in the schools. Well, they was just up until a few years ago. I actually remember helping just with a little tiny thing. It was when my cousin was in sophomore in high school a few years back, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. He was into quantum entanglement, quantum theory, which is really strange because I don't know about you, Dan, but I had floppy disk computer software, and it was off the chain. So I'm just letting you know that's how crazy everything's gotten as far as the advancements of so-called technology. I don't know how you feel about that, but we had, before the internet came, we had floppy disk. I know a lot of people probably in the audience that's that's had to experience the same thing. So just think about how fast the speed.
We had the 10.5 inch disc.
Yeah, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the TRS-80 computers when I first started school. Then they, went down to the hard ones, then the small, floppy ones, and
yeah, it's amazing, Dan. Yeah. And they only had what like CDs, 100 megabytes or something, 60 megabytes of information or something like that. It was like 100 or 64 megabytes per disc or something. It was insane.
Yeah, it's crazy how advanced the technology.
Yeah, we went when you turned on your computer a while ago. You probably did 200 megabytes. Just turn the power on.
Yeah.
I'm just being silly. Throw the heater, Jason. Anyways, don't throw it too hard. You got to stay warm up there in Rhode Island. So Tesla's dramatic theory of gravity, right? So this, if you want to go back, I'm just going to refer to it a little bit. So just to sum it up, because I know there's a lot here. It talks about Einstein's work, which I don't even put any worth into that. With Albert Einstein, I'd have nothing to say past. I don't want to knock anything off or make fun of or mock him in any shape or form. I don't have anything. I don't even get on that. I don't get on that bandwagon. So, anyways, just to summarize this book, it talks about the theory of dynamic gravity, appears dimension anywhere. Tesla was talking about informative sites and reportedly. And it lists, and to this day, it's still classified and unavailable for FOI, Freedom of Information Act. So, and then they're talking about the high potential of electromagnetic, going on and on about supposedly the bodies act like a surrounding space, causing curving of the same. It appears, talking about the ether. You hear this all the time in New Age theology, the ether and all this stuff. It appears to simple mind that the curved spaces must reach on the bodies and producing the opposite effects, straightening out the curves since the action and reaction are consistent or coexisting. It follows that the purpose curvature of space is entirely impossible, but if it existed, it would not explain the emotions of the bodies observed. Only the existence of the field of the force can account for the emotions of the bodies observed, and his assumptions dispenses with space curvature. There you go with the curvature. Did I say Culver's? I don't know if anybody knows where Culver's is. Restaurant. I'm getting goofy right now tonight. That's the kind of mood I'm in, Dan. Okay, so all literature on the subject is fulfilled and destined to oblivion of all the attempts to explain the work of the universe without recognizing the existence of the ether and this functioning of the phenomenon. And they're talking about all these different things about the languages of the universe, which we could get into fallen angel technology. And Nikola Tesla is dabbling in the pool of some spiritual stuff that we need to desperately stay away from. And I just want to you chime in anytime, Dan. I'm just got
a couple things prepped here, and then I'll jump in with you.
Well, Let me see. Let me slide over real quick to this other one. One moment. Let's see. 32. Here we go. All right. So here's the one that I want to talk about a little bit too. So he talks about this. He talks about electrical bodies, the content of a demonstration of electrical magnetic phenomenon. He talks about the incredible speed, the dynamic of the demonstration of a particular these excavated tubes with high voltage coils, which we all know about the coiled serpent and stuff like that. Powered by specifically designed with high frequency alternators, how Earth emanates microwaves and how it behaves as a charged sphere. Based on these discoveries and their confirmation, the Colorado Springs talks about the electromagnetic machine could fly substantial wings, propellers, or gas bags. That's what it says. But these are, these are older writings that's been incorporated in this book. It talks about this electrical. It talks about creating a wall of light. So what does that make you think of, everybody? Like it literally talks about a wall of light.
Sounds like a portal to me.
Exactly. And it talks about a manipulating of electromagnetic waves in a central pattern. This mysterious wall of light would enable time, space, gravity, fly. Which I have a hard time on, even believing that word. What the hell they define it. I mean, and matter to be able to alter it at will. So here we are. We're supposedly saying that we can alter it at will. All of a sudden, out of the blue, he has this technology, even in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and so it's it's a rate of Tesla proposals that seem to leap straight out of a science fiction, including anti-gravity airships, teleportation, and time travel. This is all into consideration. Did Tesla's 1895 incident have any bearing on the rumors about alleged Philadelphia experiment may have been possible due to the contributions from Tesla? These allegations have come from people such as Al Bellick, who said that Tesla helped design the electrical equipment used in the USS Eldridge. Bellick states that Tesla became concerned that his equipment would once again warp time and space and dire consequences for sailors on a board. However, the Navy ignored Tesla's objections and continued on with their experiments. Hello, everybody. And we can get into the Philadelphia experiment. So this gross lack of regard for men on board of a ship led to exactly what Tesla had feared. The sailors involved were left out the side of the time frame referenced for too long, with disastrous results. Some vanished completely, never to be seen again. Others burst into flames upon the normal space-time. Even more horrifying, some men found melted within the metal infrastructure of the ship and still alive, at least for a short period of time. That we're talking about the Philadelphia experiment. Something dark and demented. What's your take on that, Dan? Anything?
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. When you think about it. And I'm sorry, man. It's just like still editing things. Yeah. So it's the last minute things. Yeah. So yeah, the Philadelphia experiment. It's like they literally what they did to a real Navy ship. You know what I mean? To make it disappear, or transport it, whatever the case, and to make it go through time. I mean, and with the whole crew. And the thing is, the crew had no idea. You know what I mean? They had no idea at all what was going on. And imagine that you're on a cruise ship, you're in the Navy, whatever the case, and all of a sudden things happen. And when the ship came back, people were fused to the ship. Like people were like when everything, or the particles, whatever everything, the matter started forming back again. People started being fused to the ship. In other words, people were embedded in the walls, and there was a horror show.
It reminds me of that song, a country song, "Till My Ship Comes In." Remember that song? Yeah. Yeah, I'm old school, guys. I'm sorry. I just have to go country every now and then. Well, heck, I am from the country. But anyways, so we got this Philadelphia experiment. I want to talk about it for a minute. So no joke, this is a very controversial topic for me. I get a little heavy-minded with it, especially with I have a grandfather that served in the Navy. And then when I started looking into this, they call it Rainbow Project, which the Rainbow Project continued on. The Philadelphia experiment was supposedly squashed and all this stuff. Nikola Tesla supposedly died in 1943, if I'm not mistaken. And in 1944 is when they started pushing this whole, let me reframe. DARPA started funding all this whole narrative. We're going to get into it here in a little bit, but I'm just going to go there right now. And started putting boats on 1944 in the harbor of New York and going back and forth up and down from there all the way to Florida. I was going to do a Bermuda Triangle show on that on my Visual Disturbance. Jamie Christopher, I know you're in the chat. You're getting a little prequel to the Bermuda Triangle Part 2 of my Visual Disturbance channel. So, yeah, I'm just keeping it real tonight. So, all that being said, if I'm not going boomhauer on everybody, I'm talking at 100 miles an hour. I'm on fire tonight. I can't help it. It's just boomhauer. Yeah. But anyways, this whole thing, we can move on, Dan. The whole thing to do with this book, it's inundated with a bunch of information. I mean, there's all kinds of information with this. It talks about UFO phenomenon and everything. Let me go over real more quick to a few more pages on it. It talks about, so it's talking about this. It says the Navy also saw infinite possibilities, and the 1940 Project Rainbow was started in 1940. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Forgive me. So I was off a few years, but the point was, here's the deal: that certain project, they just kept changing the names throughout time, and that went on, from what I've understood and read and researched, 1961. Dan, 1961, unknowingly, sailors did not know that they was doing this on certain ships, destroyers, etc., unknowingly, and they had. And get this, is it very possible that there was some from radiation and all kinds of different things? Is it very possible there could be in genetics issues on down the road and mutations? Absolutely. And I get really frustrated with this topic, but we can move on.
Well, before you move on, I want to point out too, there was a thing called Project Shad. It's SHAD. It was Shipboard Hazard and Defense. It was a series of tests conducted by the Department of Defense from 1962 to 1973. 112 of these projects, right? And one project, for example, it was a bunch of new recruits. They were told, they're Army recruits, right? They were told, we need test subjects to go test new armaments and body armor, you know what I mean? New weapons and all that. Who's not going to want to do that, you know what I mean? Especially join the military, into the guns and all that, right? So they get on the bus to go to this camp, right? And they're all excited to go because they're going to try out brand new weapons, right? They get off the bus and a bunch of people in white lab coats come out. And they're like, what the heck? What's this got to do with testing new weapons? And they were human guinea pigs, and they were told if they didn't cooperate, they'd be court-martialed and everything. They got threatened. And we can't mention too much because of YouTube, but just use your imagination with the, jabs and stuff like that. All kinds of things they experiment on, electric shock therapy and everything else. But that was just one of many operations. Another one was they had a battleship, and every morning in the Navy, everybody lines up outside for the raising of the flag and everything. It's called colors, you know what I mean? And they do the same thing at nighttime to lower the flag. So what happened was everybody in the morning was stand out on the deck of the ship. A plane, United States, I think it was Air Force or Army plane, comes over, dumps a bunch of chemicals all over the soldiers, Navy men, right? So a bunch of doctors come aboard the ship, not to help them, no, just to sit there and monitor what was going on with the effects that was going on. Many of these things happen, and you had the Philadelphia experiment, and I think that's probably part of this project too. Here's the thing, when they have projects and operations, guys, they change the name and do it to something else. So in other words, they'll have a project, whatever, and once they get all the results they want, they keep the same stuff going on, but they rebrand the project because the thing is they don't want to be held accountable. So they can say, oh, no, on record, we stopped this project. And it shows it ended, like this here, ended in 1973. So they can say, oh, we stopped that project. So on record. But what they do is they have the same stuff and they learn from it and they advance to other techniques, whatever the case, experiments, and they'll rebrand it something else. So it goes on a rabbit trail. So even before lawyers and everything else start going down that rabbit trail, they're stuck at a dead end. And they do that strategically so they never be held accountable for doing what they do to soldiers. Our own troops. I mean, I did a special when I worked at InfoWars. I did a whole 2-part special of this operation was what they were doing, Project Chad, and all the other stuff that's going on in the military. Can't mention because I get kicked off of YouTube and horrible stuff. We got to do a Rumble show someday on this stuff, but not to divert off what we're talking about. Just we're gonna, that's to do with medical stuff and everything else. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you don't think the government experiments with their own troops, you got another thing coming. So go ahead, Brian.
I'm still here, Dan. I'm just messing with you. Good man. Thanks for adding that in there. That just flowed, man. I love when things work out like that.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit just drives it home, man. Thank you so seriously, Dan. That was epic. I wasn't even thinking about that because I actually had something to do with. I actually want to go talk about 1962 narrative in my notes, and I'm like,
Yep.
man, this is awesome. We need to talk about this. So this is awesome. So this is
That's
I
the thing
love
that's
this
pop
show.
in my head, as we go along. And
This is what I'm talking about. I love working with you. It's awesome.
yeah.
So, next slide, Dan. So this one's gonna be big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, we got to do a show just on Project Shad. That's a whole show
Oh
altogether.
yeah. Absolutely.
That's definitely got to be a rumble because we get kicked off YouTube in a second.
Yeah. We might get kicked off tonight after talking about some of the slides I got made. Let's make this thing happen.
The next one is Great Scott.
Yeah. So, anyways, everybody, if y'all can see the thumbnail that was created for this broadcast tonight, this Great Scott, in which I just, we all associate in our brains and resonate with that, with the 1980s and early 1990s Back to the Future trilogy or series. Great Scott are alternately perhaps a euphemism for it says great Satan or good God. And I just want to bring this up. You hear him say it all the time in the very first episode 1, or Back to the Future, the first one. You hear him say "Great Scott" all the time. I mean, he's literally saying it all the time at the beginning. I mean, Doc is saying that. It's
Especially
amazing how much
he gets excited. Great Scott.
Exactly, Dan. And I just want to bring this out because I have to. I had to. I've been sitting on this for a while, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna incorporate this in the show tonight. But
it's crazy, man. Me and my brother and my uncle, it's like one of our favorite movies, and it's like we could actually sit there and just with our eyes closed, we could picture every scene, and because we watched it so much that we memorized the whole movie just about.
I know, Dan. That's sad because guess what? I've got it digitalized, and it's the same over here.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Ghostbusters movie. We loved those movies for years, and then when my eyes became open to symbolism and everything else, and I watched the Ghostbusters, mind you, hundreds of times we watched the movie, right? And when we watched it again after my eyes were open to the stuff, right? It was a whole new movie. I'm like, wow, all the times I've seen it, I never noticed that. You know what I mean? All the occultic symbology and all the Babylonian stuff that they inject into the movies, Illuminati stuff. And that building, we'll get to that some other time, but that building was a real occultic building. Was by Nicholas Roerich, whatever the case. But that's a whole subject altogether. But the same thing with Back to the Future. It's like once my eyes are open, it's like, oh man, it's like a bitter pill to swallow, because it was a good movie, and it is a good movie, generally, but they do hide a lot of cultic stuff in there, and like a lot of stuff I just learned recently myself, and it's a bitter pill to swallow. So, but the truth is the truth,
Absolutely, Dan. We got some slides. We got some slides. They might have a few little arrows and a little artwork on top of it, but I promise you I haven't manipulated them in any shape or form, and they're actually directly from some screenshots from the movie that we're discussing. So if you want to pull them up whenever you want to, and we'll pop it off. And
we'll get the slides ready for you.
Okay, sure. Let's do this thing. The next one. This next one though. So this is at the beginning of the movie.
The clock tower, the famous clock
tower. Yeah. So. I don't know what Jason said. I think what he say? He said he's getting ready to go. Was he? What did he say? Did he say 10-4? Oh, okay.
What would you say, Jason?
Save the clock tower.
Yeah, save the clock.
Save the clock tower. Yeah. So this slide here, I got a big yellow arrow pointing at the clock tower. We're going to go back to the clock tower here in a few more slides from now. But I wrote a note here. Look at what the clock is set to. It was struck by lightning in 10:04 p.m. When watching the movie, the camera zooms in on the tower in this scene. So he's with his girlfriend there, and the father's getting ready to roll up in the car. And, I think he did just at that moment. But the point is, they, at the right hand of the scene, they start zooming in on the 10-4. And I'm going to get to it here in a minute, what I think goes along with it. So and then we're going to talk about the architect work on the structure itself in the courthouse. We're going to get some deep topics on this. And maybe you might not have ever heard of this before, any of this stuff, and point this stuff out, but it's going to get some pretty, I'm going to call it what I say in Kentucky, the heavy sauce. We're going to throw the heavy sauce. My uncle's probably watching this broadcast tonight. Me and him, that's how we talk to each other. We talk about the heavy sauce. We're like, you want to get, we always refer like that. We're just being silly, but that's just our country slang. But yeah, Dan.
If you don't know what Back to the Futures, guys, there was a trilogy made through the 80s based on Michael Fox and what's his name there? Christopher Lloyd. And they were the stars of this. And it was basically Christopher Lloyd played a wacky scientist that created a time machine. And Michael J. Fox was a teenager, was like his kind of his helper, you know what I mean? So anyway, the car could go through time and all that. And it's 3 series, and it's kind of unique, really is. It's a unique movie, and they did put some thought into this movie, I tell you that, because the other movies match, but you could catch different things too. Like Brian's going to show you today, but just wanted to point out, if you didn't know what this movie is, that's what that is. You know what I mean? And so it's a very famous trilogy.
Yeah, we're going to do a little decoding too. It's going to be, I'm pretty stoked about this, actually. I've been wanting to do a Back to the Future show for a while. So, yeah, so if you want to go to the next slide, Dan, you can. That's all good, brother. But, we're still going to be stuck in this clock tower narrative, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. I got another slide where he picks up which one is it, Dan? Is the one that says
the movie is showing... set up.
Yes. It's say the clock tower. So the woman, I've got them backwards, but that's okay. There's an older lady that comes and gives this to him when they're at that scene where they're in front of the clock tower. And the movie, here's my note. The movie is showing the setup for the time travel narrative. 88, and I put thoughts. I want everybody to really comprehend where I'm going with this. Check out the 10:04 on the newspaper. Lightning hit the clock tower. So this is going on. He's got this note. He's going to fold it up and put it in the back of his pocket, right? And I'm pretty sure if it's the same document, I think his girlfriend wrote her phone number on there.
Yeah, she says she was staying at her grandmother's and she wrote her grandmother's cell phone, house number or whatever on the back and says, "I love you."
Yeah, so Dan is indoctrinated with this movie. Yeah. He don't even have to watch it. It's just like the imagery in his head. He's flowing with it, guys. I think Jason's playing in the background. But anyways, I'm just messing around. But that slide, so he puts it in the back of his pocket, right? So you have the 10:04. So here's my take here. So on that scene, it zooms in and it says 10:04. So I don't get into numerology much. I look at it, though, just for research purposes.
Yeah.
So they're literally putting out their clock stopped at 10:04. So at the time of this movie, when it was made and the plot point is being set during the beginning of this movie, it's been 30 years, exactly 30 years from 1985 to 1955. And we're going to get in some deep, deep conversation. This is probably going to be one of my favorite Spiritual Warfare Fridays. So please hang on, stay tuned, hit that like button. There's only like 67 people hitting the like button. There's like 150 people, according to what my computer is saying. I wish there was like 250. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. If you're in an apartment building, start screaming to the rooftops and saying, "Hey, there's some hillbilly and some Rhode Islander speaking truth about Back to the Future on Spiritual Warfare Friday." So spit that thing off, and start sending it out there.
Don't forget, a guy with a speech impairment and a guy with visual disturbance.
Yeah,
that's what somebody said about us. So,
well, why not? Yeah.
See, no evil, hear no evil.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. so okay. Go. God bless whoever said that. Y'all just chime in. I can't wait. Hey, if y'all ever meet us, I hope y'all tell us to our face because I would love it. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. Show to the next slide. Yeah, we're gonna get into.
There you go.
Is it the
Panthers on top of the course?
Okay, yeah. So this one's okay. So I've got a few of them backwards, but hey, that's okay. I don't even know if I might not even sent you the one that I needed to give you. I think I might be missing one. That might be why I'm a little soft set. I think I am missing one. Darn it. It's I can send it to you real quick. But
send it to Messenger and I'll pop it up.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because this one, it goes along with that. I skipped one and it was important to talk about.
You've gone and done it now.
I've gone and done it now, Dan.
You're gonna shut the whole show down because
I'm only human. So which one you got up? You got the
Panthers.
Well, I'll send it to you real quick. So let me send it to you real fast. So guys in the chat room,
while we're doing this, so guys, if anybody's here seen the movie, let us know. You know what I mean? And it's a cool. it's a cool movie, absolutely, but things you need to watch out for. They like to push occultic stuff right in our faces, through movies, through sports, and everything else. And most of the time, the actors are the stars on the field. They have no idea this is going on. It's like when we talk about symbolism, like the Monster Energy drink and all that stuff. They have the occultic symbolism on the can. It's not saying if you drink it, you're evil, or if you watch it, evil. We're not saying that. But the people, the advertisers behind it, they know what they're doing. They're very crafty. Because the thing is with symbolism, it reveals to those who can see and conceals to those who can't. And there's many exoteric meanings of a symbol. They're all false. It could be hundreds of thousands of meanings for that one symbol, but they're all false. And the esoteric is one or two true meanings of that symbol. That goes into anything, when you talk about symbology. And again, it's to reveal to those who can see and conceal to those who can't. And the general public can't see that. They think, it's a Monster Energy logo or whatever, in the movies here. But the occult, that's how they communicate with each other. That's that secret language is symbolism. So when you get your eyes and ears open to the stuff, it's like, wow, all right. We see what you're doing, Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I sent it to you, Dan. If you want to, I sent it to you. If you want to incorporate it, if it doesn't mess up the flow of the show, absolutely. Just blame me, everybody, for the technical difficulties, and I'm on fire. But hey, throw a heater, everybody.
Boom.
Yeah, boom.
What do you see? The eye? Is that
it? Crack this one off here. So this one's gonna be. I had to do a little bit of. Okay, there you go, Dan. Thank you. So on this one, it says, "What do you see? All seeing eye, the eye of providence." I don't know where my arrow went. I guess it didn't save, but that's okay. The above the older lady's on the right hand, or right above her forehead, on the right, it literally says in that pink background building, it says the third, like it's the third eye. So I wanted to point that out. The slide didn't come out like it didn't come out like I wanted to, but the can does say "Save the Clock Tower" on the can, and she's asking for donations.
See an eye right overhead.
Yeah, I apologize for it's not the best quality, but it's there.
Hey, you sound like
arrow.
Doc Brown in the movie. So I apologize for the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build it to a scale.
Yeah. So we'll just get back on the way we had the slides, and that one's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That's because a lot of people don't. It happens so quick. She's a distracting because whenever she's talking, she's rattling the can. She's like shaking the can, and you're like resonating with the can. You hear the sound is so loud and so crisp, and you don't see the third eye popping off in your head, and you're like, man. And then when you go back and see it, you're like, wow, the eye of providence. It's all seeing eye. And what's so wild about it, the way the eye is, it's literally lined up with the clock tower. It's line. There's alignment. So we're gonna get into some big issues. They're gonna get some big crazy stuff. So put it back on the slide with the Panther.
Yep.
This one's gonna baffle. This one's gonna be like mind blowing stuff, because the only reason why I stumbled upon this, I'm no joke. So the only reason why I stumbled upon this particular thing, and I watched this show probably just as much as you have, Dan. But one moment, just hang on. I've gone to it now.
I want to point out too, if you notice, I don't know. Actually, I'll wait because I don't know if you're going to say that, so I don't want to take the words out of your mouth. Okay. So this Mishi Peshu, it's very hard to pronounce. Mishi Peshu. It's panthers on the top of the courthouse. So I put on the left-hand side because I zoomed in on the actual footage of the movie, and it kind of got distorted. But there's two panthers. There's a lightning on the top that hits the clock tower on the very top. Okay, is it 30 years approximately before, in 1955. So I'm gonna get into some 1955 stuff. So the panther on the left side of the slide there, that's what it looks like. So when I looked at this Missy Picchu, it almost sounds like Machu Picchu. Missy Picchu. This is no joke, guys. So I looked at this and I'm thinking light bearer. I'm thinking Lucifer, like you was talking about occultic stuff earlier, Dan. And the clock tower got struck by lightning in 1955. Doc Brown was there at the time of that. When we're going to get into that later on, but this Machu Picchu, I have an article. I'm going to bring it up before I go to it, Dan, and share that. I want to mention what this character, this Machu Picchu, is. So according to Native American cultures, you hear the narrative of thunderbirds, okay, like the Thunderbird narrative of stuff winged like
beings of transportation, stellar-like vehicles that come out of the sky, and gateways, and they're between the realm of the land of the earth, man, and above. They're the above of beings. The Thunderbirds, and they give all these mythical, magical gifts and stuff to the humans. Like this is, and it's some crazy stuff it's according to the Native American narrative. It's really wild. And is it possible as gateways, whatever, portals? But I want to bring this out. We're talking about Rainbow, the Project Rainbow, right? When the Thunderbird narrative and this Mishi Pishu, this panther, I'm gonna get into it what it is. So it's the Thunderbirds are like magic feathers, shining rainbow robes, clouds, transcend space and time. No joke. Impossible journey over the Rainbow Bridge, which is wild because there's a Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls. We're going to get into that here in a little bit, so stay tuned. So here's where we're going, man. So the Great Horned Serpent. The Great Horned Serpent, you can find tablets, you can find inundated with stuff all over the state of Kentucky, all up the east coast of America. So the feathered serpent is perceived to be perceived as an underworld entity. Okay, so get this. The so-called king of the waters. Just think about this. The airways, like there's moisture in the air, lightning, the elements of the earth, and all this stuff, according to this, the narrative of this Back to the Future. So when the lightning strikes the car, it has this ice that grows on it, right? Like when he goes through and crosses over the time, it literally like crosses over for a different time frame, and it has this like dry ice kind of narrative, like radiation, like gamma radiation. No joke. This Mishapishu, it's called, he's a king of the waters, a water panther. No joke. So them two together, the horned serpent and the panther, they are of the underworld, and they have these attributes. They work together, and they have like they work together with copper. In the media, it's a medium. And then when the serpent, the great horned serpent, and the panther, they have this cosmic whirlpool thing, like a vortex, a symbolism of the horned serpents and the water panthers, and they start to spin. And what does that mean when you think about it? In my world, I think about the Ouroboros, the figure 8. So we're talking about 88. I mentioned that in the other slide, the 88, the thoughts of 88, the infinity, right? This Back to the Future narrative, what we're talking about in this Back to the Future movie. The swirling of the water's vortex was viewed underground. It's underworld portals between realms, between the earth, man, and it's the lower. So the panther is the under. So I just wanted to point that out, Dan. It's just crazy. So they have these panthers up on the top. So I'm gonna get into some real deep stuff. So let me share my screen, and I'm gonna bring something up more about this underwater panther. I'm gonna actually show some, and I'm getting so fired up, my camera's going crazy. There we go. It's getting a little bright on me, man. So anyways, let me share this window real quick, and we'll see what we can get into here. One moment.
Just a moment.
Just a moment. Yeah, let's get this thing. All right, here we go. So if you can see it, Dan, let me know. Does it say underwater panther?
Yep.
Okay. So according to Wikipedia,
You could barely see it. It's blurry, but
oh, that's terrible. Okay, let me zoom in. That's what I was afraid of. Let me zoom
there
in.
you go.
There we go. Forgive me, everybody in the audience. So this Meshapishu translates into the great lynx, like a lynx. It has the head and paws of a giant cat, but it's covered in scales and has a dagger-like spikes running along its back and tail. So it's literally, like it says, a mythical creature, traditions, and indigenous and North American tribes. It's talking about everybody, the Great Lakes, the Canada, United States, the whole shebang. And it literally talks about the underwater panther as the most powerful underworld being. And it's translated with including snakes in some versions and all kinds of interesting things. I just want to bring this up, Dan. It's amazing. So to bring that in, just to comprehend what we're really seeing here. So is it a gate? Is this clock tower? Is this whole thing? Yes, it's a movie, but I'm going to get into it. Why I think there's a significance, because the Hill Valley that has been talked about in this movie, it actually does have a location, and I think it's in California. So, but we're going to get into that more here in a little bit. But I just want to share that with you, Dan. I don't know what your thoughts is, man, but chime in any moment, man. Like,
Oh
just
yeah.
give me,
Well, hold on.
Yeah, but I've stopped sharing the screen so we can get back on the horse, man, and start
Right, so
firing
like
off.
real quick, you go back to this picture here. The Panthers on top of the Carls. Now notice the Panthers where the position, right? And this again goes to the occult. This very second I seen this popped right into my head. So what's going on here? This is called duality in the occult. And notice the structure. This is ancient architecture, right? They always have the even if it's a flat roof, they always have some kind of an arch like this, symbolizing the pyramid, and all CNI in the middle. And we're going to show you this here in a minute. And it's done that way purposely. Even if you go to the Walmart buildings, right? They'll have a flat roof, right? But they'll have this archway on top for no reason with a circle in it, or some kind of something like a circle to resemble your CNI. You know what I mean? And it's pyramid structures, you know. And the two beasts are two figures staring in the opposite directions. So if you go here in the occult, this is occultic stuff. The ones that face each other, it's called duality, and the ones who face the opposite way is called equality. So, and the occult is see right there with the Zephyr in the background. It's this is equality and duality, as above, so below. That's what that stands for, and you'll see it all the time. And the pyramid, you know, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, guys, but this is what the archway symbolizes. It's the all-seeing eye inside the pyramid, the top of the ziggurat. The pyramid with the ziggurat is a pyramid with no cornerstone. The cornerstone is Lucifer. You know what I mean? They said the eye of providence. It's actually the eye of Lucifer. You know, the eye of Horus, then the eye of Lucifer. That's what you will actually learn in Freemasonry at the very top. I just wanted to get to the gist of that. So see what you're looking at. You know, a little more in depth of what you're looking at. And they put this stuff purposely in architecture and everything else for thousands of years. They've built stuff like this. And now when you go to architecture school, you know, you don't know this stuff. All you know is ancient stuff, but you have no idea why they do this stuff for. So that's what you're looking at. So
yeah,
good, Brian.
Let's not go to the next slide yet because I want to talk about this the Hill Valley courthouse square that we're on here. So if you just type in Hill Valley Back to the Future, and it talks about literally, let me share it again. Let me share my screen. Let me zoom in a lot, more than a lot. Let's go like 400% so I can see on the computer. All right, let me share it real quick, Dan. So, yes, there's props. Yes, there's Universal Studios productions and all that. I get it. I understand. This is a fictional town in California. I get it. The Hill Valley. I understand. But I'm going to point something out. This one baffled my mind. So it talks about, this is literally in Wikipedia. Just type in, if you can see is the screen sharing, Dan?
Yep.
Okay, so in Hill Valley, Back to the Future. Hill Valley is a fictional town, obviously, that serves as the setting of the Back to the Future trilogy. There's a spin-off series that talks about all the whole narrative. So the city name Hill Valley is a joke, being a oxymoron. Okay. However, an early script for the Back to the Future Part 2 mentioned the Hill Valley was named after the founder William Bill Hill. I get it. This is the location, all that stuff. I get it. So let's get into it. So the production, this is what's going. You see over here, I got something highlighted. So it talks about the location, etc. It talks about the town square is set. This town square before it was called Hill Valley, because this instead filming was complete on the Universal Studios backlot, where they had more control. The town square set was called Mockingbird Square. No joke, Dan. You know where I'm probably going with this.
Yep.
After the 1962 film To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay. So, no joke. This is when you go and look up Mockingbird Square, and I'm gonna pull that up. Maybe when you pull up Mockingbird Square, like Project Mockingbird, I'm gonna get back to the courthouse in a minute. We're gonna go to Project Mockingbird. If I can get this thing to stop going on here. It's a CIA. We're talking about a CIA program. Dan, I know Dan spoke about it on his channel thousands of times about the Project Mockingbird, but I want to bring this up real quick. So we have in October 2001, Miller Center of Public Affairs published a transcript of secretly recorded conversation in the Oval Office during the summer of 1962, in which Kennedy took steps using the CIA to spy on Hanson Baldwin. Can't make this stuff up. The national security reporter in the New York Times, Baldwin had angered the president with an article in the July 26, 1962. So it issued of the New York Times that divulged against classified information from recent national intelligence estimate. So I wanted to bring this in. In 1962, in the Oval Office, they have all this conversation to do with Mockingbird and the CIA program, right, Dan? So isn't it interesting? In 1962, they changed the name of Mockingbird Square of the killing of a mockingbird. The same prop of the courthouse square that's in the Hill Valley narrative with Back to the Future. It's a fictional town in California, and it tells you where it's at. I'm gonna go to the courthouse, what it is now. So the courthouse square, it's in the back lot located in Universal Studios, Universal City, California. This is a set composed of I'm getting so tongue-tied. It's talking about how it was built and the act of the murder. I wanted to bring this up, and it talks about and was featured as a downtown Hill Valley in the Back to the Future trilogy. Okay, and it's talking about Kingston Fells and Gremlins series and all this. But I want to point this out. Prior to the Back to the Future series, the area was known as Mockingbird Square, like I mentioned earlier. But I want to bring this up, Dan. Check how many productions that this place has been in. Like it's caught on fire. Like here it says it has been severely damaged by several fires several times, including 1957, 1990, 2008. It was reconstructed over each incident. Check this out. Look at the titles of these movies. An Act of Murder. Some of them came Ma and P. Kettle. It Came from Outer Space. The Monolith Monsters. Rockabye Baby. Leave It to Beaver. That's hilarious. The Twilight Zone. Inherit the Wind. To Kill a Mockingbird. Bye Bye Birdie. Village of the Giants. It sounds like a bunch of Nephilim stuff to me. Yeah. How to Frame a Fig. No joke. The Incredible Hulk. Psycho 2. Huh?
Hulk, another Nephilim type thing.
Yeah, Knight Rider, Street Hawk. I mean, the Gremlins, Back to the Future, obviously. The Monster Squad, Weird Science, Nutty. I mean, it's on and on and on. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Goosebumps, a haunted movie that was in 20. That's a fairly new movie in 28. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And I just want to point that out for the audience. You know, it just keeps on going and going. And is there something to it? I don't know. I just made a mistake, Dan. I'm sorry about that. I shared it. I stopped sharing it. Go ahead, Dan. Yeah. If you have anything to it goes on and on, Dan. So what's the significance and why are they even calling it Mockingbird Square and it all changed in 1962? That's what I'm saying. Especially with the CIA program and what's your take, Dan? What's your take? It's crazy.
Operation Mockingbird basically was back in just the date here. CIA program that influenced the press for the CIA tapping operation, I would call Operation Mockingbird, was an overview of the CIA influence on the mainstream media during the Cold War. And basically what they did was like back in, they did this through the 1900s, 60s and 1970s. So what they did was long story short, they infiltrated all the mainstream media, all of it, right and left, and they put their own people in charge as editors-in-chief. So all the editors-in-chiefs have to go according to what the CIA wants. In other words, they control what goes out to the public. It's all propaganda. It's nothing new. Let's go back Germany with the Nazi Germans, and before them with the German Union under the Illuminati in the early 1700s, and it goes back further too. So there's a long history of the controlling elite taking control of whatever media at the time. They infiltrate it, take control of it to feed you the propaganda, what goes out to the public. Now, today's world, right? Everything's movies, and entertainment, right? So that's why they infiltrated the movies and all that to put out propaganda. And the thing is, you think it's just a movie, but it's so absorbs in your subconscious to get you prepared for certain things. You know what I mean? Like everything's about aliens and UFOs, invasions, and all that apocalyptic stuff. That's why all these movies are about that, because that's what they're prepping you for. You know what I mean? So this is exactly what they're doing here. It's all about infiltration, all about propaganda.
Absolutely, Dan. Absolutely. It's we've been programmed for a long period of time. I mean, for a long time. Our great-grandparents was getting programmed. Yeah. Come on now. It's crazy. Exactly. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, so just putting all that together, I had to bring that up. I just couldn't go no farther. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I was putting it together, I was like, Why are they referring to these names like that? And the dates are they're too close in proximity. The dates and switching of the names and stuff, and the whole CIA program with it's just too close. The dating of all that stuff I just read, it's just too close, and it can't be a coincidence. Can't be a coincidence. Oh, by the way, you just pulled it up, so why not? So thank you, Dan, for pulling that up. So I'm just messing with you, bro. So that's what I get for not warning you. Add that later. Well, if you want to pop it in there, you can. But we'll just add that here in a little bit. It's whatever you want to do. If you want,
whatever.
Throw it up there, bro. Let's do it.
Go ahead.
So you got it up there? Okay, cool. So the skier. So this is kind of off. We're kind of changing a little bit here, but it's all good. Do you still have it up? Okay. So the skier who went missing from New York mountain slopes ends up 6 days later in California. We're still wearing ski clothes. And Danny, you got it in front of you if you want to read it. But I want to put my 2 cents in on this narrative. This happened like in 2018, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But I bring this up because it goes along with a lot of my research. Go ahead, Dan, if you want to read it. If you feel like it. I know you ain't been feeling good. If you feel like it. If you feel good enough to read it.
Yeah, it's Costantino's Danny tells police he couldn't remember how he got there. So basically, to narrate this real quick, and I'll read it too. He went missing from New York mountain slopes. He's on the mountains, and 6 days later, he's in California wearing the same clothes and everything. So there had to be some kind of a time loop or warp or whatever the case. Not just a warp, time warp, but some kind of a portal. Or a glitch, I mean, that's why we named the broadcast and stuff. And a firefighter who went missing from the slopes of a ski resort in New York and sparked a massive search was found 6 days later on the opposite side of the country, still wearing a ski suit. So basically, he's going down the slopes. Imagine that. You're going down the slopes and out in California, whatever the case, and ski resort, New York, right? And all of a sudden, boom, across the country. Like, what the heck? It's like, just say you're swimming in the ocean down in Florida, right? You go to vacation down in Florida, you're down in Miami, you go, hitting the ocean and all that stuff, and you're laying on the beach, and all of a sudden you close your eyes, you wake up, now you're in, Portland, Maine or something with snow up to your ears. The heck just happened, So he said he's been on an annual trip with the friends and colleagues on White House Mountain in the Adirondacks in New York State when he disappeared. And he turned up in warmer weather in Sacramento, California, nearly 3,000 miles away, where he contacted the police and gave his name, saying he had been missing from New York. Mm-hmm. And the deputies turned out to find that the father of 2, dressed in snow trousers, ski jacket, and winter boots, and carrying ski helmet, after he called them from the mobile phone he just brought. So he bought a phone to say, to call him. So one of the police officers in the post stand in Syracuse, Mr. Philippi's, thought he had suffered a head injury, but been a passenger had in the truck and slept in the log. Yeah, I'm butchering that. I'm sorry, guys. So now the long story short, this guy ended up the other side of the country.
Absolutely,
from New York to
Dan.
California, and he was still in the snow. Yeah. So what happened?
So here's my take on it. I'm just a man, so I'll give you my 2 cents on this narrative. I've looked at this long time, for several years now. So get this, Dan. I looked on Google Earth. I did my thing. I could share it. It just depends. I'm just kidding. I was thinking about it and looked at it today. I drawn a path, and no joke, can't make this stuff up. The Niagara Falls, I did a show on that about giants in the Niagara Falls portal and all this stuff. There was a connection. Me and you just did a show. Remember we was doing slides, I think last week or the week prior to that when we had Scott on. Remember we was talking about Abraham Lincoln, right? You even did a Wednesday night show recently talking about when the giants that are in the mounds of America, the speech from Abraham Lincoln. And the mysteries of the Niagara Falls, the mysteries it holds. So this gentleman right here, right? So he's in New York, right? When he goes and disappears, he's in New York narrative, close to where is that where it is in the article? When he in New York and then he appeared in Sacramento, California, correct? So just think about this: the Niagara Falls and the Great Lakes there's a lot of area there. Okay. Here's my take on it. This is a what if. What if he was? So if you draw a line at an angle from the Niagara Falls all the way to the Golden Gate Bridge in California, dead center, at an angle. No joke. It goes right through Michigan, right through the copper mines, the whole shebang.
Whoa.
I just read something a while ago talking about the horned serpent and the Mishapishu. I always butcher it. It's a panther. That whole thing with the the Native American narrative, and they was talking about copper as a medium and everything. And then ironic that this guy just appears and he crosses across the country in just a few days or whatever. And it's really really strange, right? So what if? Because you hear a lot about the Golden Gate Bridge. Now here it goes along with the show. Goes along with the show. In the Golden Gate Bridge and stuff, don't they refer to that in the Back to the Future films? Don't they talk about that in some of the? If I remember, if I'm mistaken, let me know. But I think they talk about the Golden Gate Bridge or something, or a gate. I can't remember now. But anyways, the California narrative. We're talking about California. Is there something to do with that? Like, I agree. Like, did he hit a portal or something close to Niagara Falls and end up toward where the Golden Gate Bridge is? Because I've heard all kinds of narratives, like the Golden Gate Bridge,
there's tons of these stories, man. And I forgot. I can't. I don't want to mention the story without butchering it. But there was a story that I guess somebody found a guy on the side of the highway. They made a Twilight Zone out of this too. The guy, he was dressed in all Civil War clothes. He's on the highway, like just staring in awe because he was from back in time. You know what I mean? I don't know how true the story is, whatever the truth about it, but there's a lot of stories about these things that people go through time glitches and warps that, like, how did I get here? Where am I? You know what I mean? And there's no explanation at all. And me and my brother, we had similar things like this happen to us. Not long spans of time, but it was hours. You know what I mean? Hours missing or hours gained.
Wow. And we're going to talk about that. So so these portal things. I know we're talking about some pretty wild stuff tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to get into some scripture here in a little bit. Here after a while. Just hang on to your seat, guys. I know it's a lot to take in, a lot of information actually. But Dan.
Before we go any further too, I'm going to mention we're not at all, because I know some people are. We're not all saying we're living in this computer simulation matrix like the Davidite crap. We're not promoting that at all. You know what I mean? We believe that this is a creation of God. Everything's all God's creation. It's not an illusion or a hologram like David likes to say we're living in a computer simulation. No, not at all. We're living in God's matrix. What He created. You know what I mean? So this is real stuff. Real reality. So we're not promoting that Davidite stuff. I just want to put that out there because I know some people like, they believe in all the Matrix stuff. That's why they made a movie on. I gotta stop saying.
No, you're good. That fits our title that person said about us.
Yeah.
Well, no. If the giants roll out and they start popping out of the ground, you ain't gonna worry about no Matrix theory. Okay. I mean, they're gonna be dragging you off somewhere. Fee fi fo fum. They're gonna be popping off a leg or something. You know what I'm saying? Break something. And you ain't gonna worry about no Matrix theory after that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Bible says the hearts will fail them looking after the things come up on the earth. But anyways, I agree with you, Dan. Yeah, but I pray. That individual that you spoke of, I don't have anything against them. I pray for all these people because it's just we have to pray. We just have to pray because we live in a weird place and we just don't know where we live. I mean, to be honest with you. So it's just it's amazing. So so we're talking about this gentleman vanishes and appears in Sacramento, California, and I could have showed it on Google Earth, but I think I explained it pretty decent because there's like an angle, and it was like at a 66, no joke, Dan, at a 66-degree angle. When I looked it up, it says 66.9 all the way from Niagara Falls to the Golden Gate Bridge because I was trying to see the correlation between the two locations. No joke, Dan. But
that must have threw him for a loop, huh? You're all bundled up in your ski clothes. All of a sudden, you're in warm climate. It's like Sacramento. You're like, where am I? Imagine next thing you're on a boat. Next thing you're in some tunnel somewhere. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Just pray. You just pray that we never get close to these locations where these people go and pop in and out. No joke. But anyways, Woo, man, this has been a wild show tonight. So the next slide, Dan, we're gonna do a little back. We're gonna do a little forward on the film because I got some really cool slides here. I pray that we don't get hit with anything, but if we do, I hope y'all enjoyed this broadcast.
Yeah. We'll go for broke. How's that?
We're gonna go for it. So check this one out. So me and Dan was talking about this over off the air. And I tried. So, guys, for the sake of everything, the reason why they're a little bit smaller and I got these brick backgrounds is to manipulate it to not the actual picture, but to like we have to, it's for restrictions and stuff like that. I was trying to keep from both of us not getting anything against the channel here. So, on this slide here, I'm gonna bring this up on this slide. You see what we're looking at here. We got the DeLorean. This is toward the end of the movie of Back to the Future. It says in this the theater, it says the Assembly of Christ. And it says Reverend John Crump. And I put question mark. Strange. It's similar to John Trump. So isn't that a wild thing, Dan? What do you think? I mean, come on now.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I see the other slides too. So wait till you see the connections. Then you're like, yeah, there's a strong case for being John Trump because what we're going to show you coming up, what a lot of Trump has to do with this stuff. So yeah, and it's predictive programming. You know, I mean, that's what it's called. They show you stuff that's going to happen. Not that the psychics or all that, because demons know a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the future because it's just written that way, And so they're not predicting it. This is what's manifested.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna bring this in. I'm gonna bring some. I think Psalms 91 was laughing a while ago. Yeah, heavy sauce. But I'm gonna bring some more heavy sauce on this broadcast tonight. So he hits a theater. There's on the scene. There's like this homeless man on the side on this bench. So this name, he hits this theater again on the other. I think it's the next one. I think it's either 2 or 3. The second Back to the Future, the third Back to the Future. But anyways, so John Trump, isn't it strange that John Trump, guess who John Trump is, everybody in the broadcast? And I know Dan knows this, but John Trump is kin to Donald Trump. And here's the next slide. Or go back, Dan, where it says these were Nikola Tesla's files. Go to the next one with the orange brick. I'm sorry. If you want to pop it in there. I'm sorry. You was flowing too, and I messed you up. Dan. I messed you up, bro. So the Nikola Tesla files was acquired by John Trump. That's Trump. That's Donald Trump's uncle. You just can't make this stuff up, okay? So isn't it interesting that John Trump is what is he? Isn't he like electrical? He's American electrical engineer. He's a physicist. Isn't it interesting that this whole narrative, if I'm not mistaken, there was like a ton of suitcases or a ton of cases that was confiscated from the place that Nikola Tesla was, residing after he passed away. But isn't it ironic that John Trump acquired these documentations, and you just can't make this stuff. You can't make this stuff up. So, but anyways, what do you think, Dan?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you can't make this stuff up. So we're going to refer to, and here we are. We have this narrative with Back to the Future, and there was a slide that I know you went over to it, and you was showing the Biff. So if you want to go to that one, so these Nikola Tesla, I think there was like 20 cases. I think it's 20 crates or something like that was mysteriously disappeared. I think there was like either 80 that was found, and then 20 of them was missing, and for some reason it was confiscated by some person, whatever, secret dark government or whatever it is. But it's wild that John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, acquired these files. So this slide that Dan has here, talking about hitting a brick wall, right? So I got all these brick wall backgrounds. I just had to do it because that's the way I feel like sometimes when I'm talking about this certain narrative, I feel like hitting my head up against a brick wall because there's just so much stuff here. So this slide here, it says it's interesting how Biff Tanner's character has a big tower in the Back to the Future movie. Okay, I don't know why I said BTF movie. I don't know what I was thinking. I mistype, and looks similar to someone that we know. Right, so Biff Tanner's, and it says Pleasure Paradise, which it's this huge tower, and isn't it weird that it's like Trump. Trump has a big tower, right?
Yep.
It's just wild, Dan. What do you think? I mean, even the depictions, and even outside. I'm gonna try to watch what I say on here, but even outside, there's tanks, all this anarchy out there, and then there's all this weird stuff going out in the streets, and this whole alternate universe.
Well, look
This
at
is
the
in
similarities.
this is in Back to the Future Part 2, by the way. This is in Back to the Future 2
Look
movie.
at the
I'm sorry.
similarities. So, like, it looks like Trump, right? In Trump Plaza. There's Trump here at Trump Plaza. It's like a hotel, skyrise hotel type thing, casino, and they turned the courthouse into a casino in the movie. And this guy is a multi-billionaire. And also John G. Trump, I'm sorry. This guy here was electrical engineer, which is Trump's relative. There's an image of him right there. So he put these things together, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and what's so bad about this movie? And I think, are you there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Now you
What's so
missed
bad?
it.
Oh, what was so bad about it is this movie. What I think Back to the Future Part 2 came out in '88, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think it was 1988 or '86 or something. So this is it just baffles the mind, man. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. People are saying that's a stretch. Yeah, I mean, I know they're the Biff Tanner and all that, but I mean, the John Trump stuff, that's all legit. The John Trump acquiring the Nikola Tesla files. But it's just interesting that I'm not going to say his name, but the producer and the director of this particular movie had this inspiration, right? They was inspired to create. They had imagination. They put effort into filming and directing and making this film. And isn't it just wild and ironic that it looks similar to what, come on now. It's just, hey, it looks very similar to the Trump narrative. I mean, I know it's not the same name as Biff Tanner. I get it, but it is kind of strange. If you want to go to the next one, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the next slide, but if you want to shoot
Donald
for
Trump
that one.
has a tall tower in real life. We just showed that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we just showed you that, Trump Plaza. I mean, like, everybody should know that.
And if you want to go to the other one, I just had I had that one slide where
Very
it actually has
strange
Biff Tanner.
between the two.
Yeah, Biff Tanner on the left, and I just wanted to plug that in there to kind of give everybody imagery.
Same here, millionaires or billionaires, whatever they are, both living in the towers. So those are the coincidences, you could call them that, but very strange. Both he persuades to be a multimillionaire, billionaire, whatever the case, living in the tower casino. That's what Trump Plaza is, a casino tower.
Mm-hmm.
Very political figures in the world, because in the movie Biff Tannen, he's like the godfather of the whole city over there. And he portrays that. It's like, I own the police. He owns the police and all the politicians. So,
absolutely, it's baffling, man.
Yeah,
it gets deeper here in a minute. The next slide you're getting ready to show, we're going to go to the actual Back to the Future part 2, and that one's going to be this one. This one just cracks me up. A lot of people probably know what is. Yeah, go to that one. So we're going to go to the Gray's Almanac. So pop that one off, Dan. This one's in the gift shop, the antique shop, that whenever he goes into the future, and I think it's in 2015, according to the narrative of the movie. I got a gray alien over here in the corner, left-hand corner, pointing an arrow to the Gray's Almanac. I thought it was interesting that it's literally called the Gray's Almanac. In 1950, literally 1950 to 2000, and according to the narrative of, Biff Tanner on this film, his older self goes back in the past, in the 50s, in 1955, mind you. And we're going to get into some heavy topics here in a minute. And what if... Well, no, there's not a what if in this slide here. Isn't it interesting they call it the Gray's Almanac? In 1950 to 2000, in that 50-year time frame, hasn't there a lot happened, Dan? I mean, we got a lot happen between 1950 to 2000, and I know they got that next slide. So it's crazy, Dan. It gets crazier and crazier.
Yep.
I think it's the one.
Yep.
Which one?
Sports Almanac and Gray's Almanac from the description there.
What did I not give you the other one? I probably didn't give you the other one either. Yeah, I did. Yeah, pop that one up. I know forgive me. So Gray's Almanac from 1950 to 2000, I put a question mark. I'll put on here weird facts. 1947, the narrative with the Roswell, Mexico UFO crash. Me and Dan did a UFO show on that. Dan, you remember when we talked about the UFO narrative when I brought up the FBI document talking about the giants and all that stuff with the whole giant human man and all that stuff, the crash. And, we was literally showing the proof of the FBI documentation on that PDF file. So just think about this CERN Hadron Collider. It started in September 29, 1954. Isn't it ironic that in 1955, that thing was least somewhat operational? That's over in Geneva, Switzerland. And isn't it ironic that the movie is based around 1955, the very first movie? Isn't that just wild, Dan? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, and here's another fun fact. The first national live coast-to-coast commercial television broadcast in the USA took place in November the 18th, 1951. And then I put in there also a period, and I've talked about Project Mockingbird. The list goes on and on with all these technological advancements. And then one more thing to plug in there. Y2K, you remember everybody was going crazy over Y2K. And then all of a sudden, I'm just going to put this in here because I know we got to wait. We got to watch what we say on this broadcast. Then in 2001 happened, just read the thumbnail. I don't want to talk about it too much. Yeah, go ahead, Dan. Yeah, you always just rip the Band-Aid off, man. You won't let me get suspense. You're like, I'm like trying to wordplay it, encrypt. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, 9/11.
Yeah, let's turn the show off, But anyways, I just want to point that out, Dan. What's your take on that? Because we supposedly have all these advancements in the last from 1950 to 2000. And there's so many things that has went on in our reality. So, man, what do you think? Y2K, listen, Y2K, man, was embedded. We already know what Y2K was.
Yeah.
But go for it, Dan. I know you can tear into this one.
Oh, yeah. Now, actually, I'm going to wait because I want you to.
Okay.
So the people don't think we're jumping all over the place. So,
yeah.
What's 9/11 got to do with this, guys? First of all, 9/11 happened in 2001. So, September 11th, 2001. So, that's the 9/11 event that happened, the false flag, I call it, plain and simple. And, terrorist attack, call it what you want, and false flag attack on our country that propelled us into the New World Order. And this goes down so many rabbit holes, man. And so if you think the movie that was made in the 1980s and the early 1990s, right? I think they made the second and third in the early 1990s. Regardless, 9/11's in this movie, and we're going to show you that.
Absolutely.
They portray 9/11 in that, so we're going to show you that. And many other movies do that. Cartoons, like there's scores, dozens and dozens of movies and cartoons who push the 9/11 their narrative, plain and simple. And we could go down so many holes with this. It's crazy, man. And I don't want to, push the show over to our 9/11 stuff.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah. We're getting ready to go. We got some slides.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So.
If you want to, since we're kind of still hanging on to Trump a little bit, the whole narrative with all that, if you want to show that slide with the Baron Trump, if you want to show it,
well set.
I'll vaguely talk about it a little bit for the sake of the show because we have a truck ton of data. So I put on here time travel narrative referencing Trump. So the Baron Trump collection, this has been out for like over 100 years. This book, and you can the Ingersoll Lockwood author and all this goes way back. So it's talking about the last president and everything. This whole narrative, this talks about this little boy that goes. There's all kinds of adventures he goes on. He goes under the ground. I mean, the book is amazing. There's like all kinds of different things. I mean, we go into all kinds of rabbit trails with inner earth, all these different things. He's talking about gateways, portals, etc. Talks about the Castle Trump. Talks about this high place he lives in. His father, I think, is supposedly the last president. All this crazy stuff. I mean, there's all these correlations and comparisons, and it just baffles the mind. And what's so wild, Dan, the Baron Trump, that alone could that blows your mind, right? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't read every single word. It's just such a big book and a bunch of collaboration of, there's just all kinds of pages in it. So what I'm saying, isn't it ironic? I think, even if I'm not mistaken, the vice president, I think his last name's Pence, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that just wild, Dan? I think it's something like down the lines of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But David Carrico and John Pounders did a heck of a job on just this book and explaining it. Heck of a job, guys. I think it was that Time Travel, Trump Travel Midnight Ride. So go check that out if y'all get an opportunity. But I just want to kind of give a summary of it. just having this correlation to kind of go along with what we're presenting tonight, it goes hand in hand. I mean, we're talking about John Trump, referring to, I know it's just a movie, but I know this is just a book, but this book was written like over 100, literally like 100 years ago. So let's put that in perspective. And why is this kid telling this whole story about living in a high tower, the Castle Trump, and all these references? It's just it boggles the mind, Dan. What do you think? I mean, it baffles the mind. You can't make this stuff up. This stuff, there's something, I know you was talking about it earlier. Don't get on the Matrix theory, but there's something here I'm not, the time travel thing. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, it's definitely the forces of darkness that's operating.
Absolutely. I think the time dilation, time narrative, I don't think they can go. Here's my take on this whole thing. I don't know if they can go back too far. I think if there's any manipulation, I think it's just, I don't think it can go back hundreds of years or anything like that. I don't think God will allow it. Okay. But I think there is some manipulation, and that's when you get into scripture and it talks about necromancy. I think there's communication with spiritual applications. I think there's something to it. We just are human. We don't understand it because we only touch and base and crumbs here. I don't want to, this stuff can get really heavy on the mind. It can just, we're just trying to expose it. And then we're going to get into some scripture and stuff here after a while, but it's a lot to take in and to comprehend and to really, but the main thing that we need to do is read the Word of God, plain and simple. Just the Word of God, and that's it. The rest of it, it's good to know about, but if we don't know the Word of God, know the baseline, literally know the scriptures, that's horrible.
Yeah.
So it's a, so anyways, I didn't want to get off, but I wanted to make sure I plugged that in. Just if you're just now tuning in, I don't want y'all to think me and Dan's went off down into the rabbit hole and getting ready to, cross over from, New York, Niagara Falls to California Golden Gate Bridge. But anyways, what do you think, Dan? Go ahead, man. I interrupted you.
No, it's just interesting to point out. I've never read this book, and I heard a little bit about it, but doesn't he predict one of his family members become president or something?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like there's just so much to it. I mean, it's just mind-boggling stuff.
I mean, the Simpsons, they had the Simpsons cartoon. They had the predictive program of Trump becoming president. And it was weird, man. It's crazy. The same scene that when Trump announced he was running for president, he's coming down the escalator in this plaza, in this hotel. And the Simpsons had that back in 92, I think it was, of him coming down, and it was the same sign. It was so creepy. The same exact signs, the way people stand in the same colored clothes. It was like they literally looked into the future to see that scene and made it a cartoon. And the guy dropping a sign the same way, the whole, it was, like bizarre. It really was. It was like Absolutely, they looked into the future, so to speak, to see this happening.
Well, they do. The military, I will throw this out here real quick. I wasn't going to pop it in here, but Project Looking Glass is a thing, but I don't know much. Well, I do know a little bit, but Project Looking Glass is a thing. It has been, supposedly, there's been people, I guess, disappear from speaking about it that acquired that object. A lot of stuff.
Oh,
but
here it is. I'm sorry. Let me, I made a mistake. So that's right there. Sorry to cut you off, Brian, but
no, you're good, Dan.
2000, the Simpsons episode came out in 2015. That's when Trump first tampered with for running for president. You know what I mean? So that's they call it predictive programming. He's going down the escalator, white dress, and this is Homer with the white dress, like he's in the future in the episode. Homer Simpson's in the future.
Absolutely, it's weird.
You got people with the signs of girl with the white dress, the whole 9 yards. Coming
they
down
have
the
orb too.
Yep.
They have another one with the orb. Show that one with the one with the Saudi Arabian character and like somebody from China or something. And Trump is around holding it. They're all holding on to this white orb.
Oh yeah.
That one was aired a long time ago too, when Marge went up the stairs, and this was on a picture frame. And see, that actually did happen in real, like literally. Look. Okay,
it is right there.
Yeah, it's crazy, Dan. Go ahead, man.
There's the Simpsons one. And like, this is crazy. Like, identical to what they look like too. The same position they're standing in, the same hands they're using.
Absolutely. You just can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. That's called predictive programming.
And there's many years, like you said, 15-year span on that first slide, that first thing you showed. I mean, come on, everybody.
And people got to understand too, in the spirit world, it's a different view of things. You know, when you think time means something here, it means nothing there. You know, it's like one time, like we did when we talked about the transfiguration of Jesus with Moses and all that. So we were kind of trying to say, is this a time warp that he's going back in time? Or, you know what I mean? It could be a number of things, but in the spirit world, they operate in a whole different level and rules than we do here in this physical world.
Exactly. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
And there's been a lot of instances like when people literally went through time warps that they lost or gained significant hours. And a lot of it was to do with, they call it alien abduction, which was demonic, you know, plain and simple, demonic. Absolutely. Or fallen angels. You know, not aliens, but every time they take people, you know, they wake up hours later or even a day before. It's kind of weird stuff.
Absolutely, Dan.
No recollection of what happened to them. Well, they know is they were gone for hours, and that it's instantaneous for them. But the people, you know, they were looking for you for hours. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And part of my voice, guys, I just got to go. The whole week I was sick, so I just gained some strength yesterday, and I had a wrestling show tonight. So I used whatever energy I had for the wrestling show. It's like right now I'm on fumes right now, so. I feel good. Don't get me wrong, but just like it's been I didn't even get to go to the gym this whole week. It's crazy. So just like last weekend we went to a place called Chuck E. Cheese with my son, and I guess he got sick or some other kids, whatever. So I got hit with it hard. Now my wife's got it. So yeah, she's at home in bed right now, sick, and so my son's fine now. He's got a healthy immune system, thank God. But you know, I just got over it, and just like 24 hours ago, I was out of it. I didn't know if I could do a show or anything. I had a fever going on, dizziness and all that stuff. So I'm fine now, but just the congestion and everything else. So, and trying to regain, you know, that strength and energy.
Yeah. Praise God.
Amen.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah,
all
this
right.
is crazy. This is like all kinds of rabbit holes we could go down with this stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, we got a ton more slides.
Yeah.
More slides. So everybody hang on. You know, if you're just now tuning in, we're getting ready to get into some more crazy stuff. So just hang tight. And whenever
you guys see the 911, the 9/11 stuff all over the place, and movies and TV, and there's tons. Let me get to my internet before you get to your slides here. There's dozens, countless cartoons and movies. Like this is Johnny Bravo, right? Look in the background, coming soon, and there's a building on fire. Coincidence? Maybe. You know, look at this one here. You know, just these brochures and all kinds of things that this one hits it right there. Like the Simpsons 9/11. It says $9 and 2 towers for 11. Like you can't make this stuff up. Then you got the Illuminati card with the 9/11 stuff. That's the Illuminati card right there. A terrorist terrorist attack here shows one of the buildings collapsing. Then you got the dollar bills and all that. The dollar bill, $5 bill. We fold it into an airplane and it shows the towers gradually falling down. There's Sesame Street here. Yeah, the reason I'm pointing this out too, guys, and this is
yeah, Dan's setting it up. We're getting ready. Yeah, I love this, Dan.
So when Brian points this stuff out, you're going to see what he's talking about. So just want to put it out there. It's not just Back to the Future. There, again, dozens, not a few, not maybe 2 or 3. I'm talking about dozens and dozens of cartoons and movies well long before 9/11 happened, even the first attempt that they were predicting us. And then you got the Wingdings program in the computer, the old Word program. I think it was Q11. There was the flight number, QNY. I forgot the flight number. You put it in the Wingdings, highlight it, and it showed 2 towers, a pentagon symbol and a death symbol in the airplane. You can't make this stuff up. You can't.
Mm-mm.
And I had this picture of an old Renaissance picture. It showed Lady Liberty, and I think it was Da Vinci that painted it. Lady Liberty, right? She's standing there in the middle of a battle during the French Revolution, right? She's got the torch in hand, and in the background, this is before skyscrapers were invented. In the background, there's smoke, and right in the corner, there's two buildings that look like they're on fire. And the news took this picture. It was a famous picture of the Statue of Liberty, and in the background, in the right corner, it was the two towers and all the smoke, and it was identical to that picture. And it's like they're like these cultists. That's what Da Vinci and all Leonardo da Vinci and all them. They were occultists, and they actually seen visions of the future because it's not them; it's the demonic spirits that give them those visions. And they put this stuff into paintings, movies, and TV to subconsciously get you ready for this. And God knows whatever else they got going on now. And again, like you said earlier, they're trying to prep people for the so-called alien invasion coming. The doomsday, the apocalyptic movies, like bad aliens are coming to destroy the earth, and the good aliens help us. You know what I mean? It's all the good aliens that portraying is actually the fallen angels and Satan. And they're saying that God is the bad angels, and it plays into Revelation 16 and all that good stuff. So they are preparing people ready for the next thing, which is going to be the so-called alien invasion. So that's what they're preparing the world for. But the movies here, back to 9/11 stuff, and we'll show you that with the slides whenever you're ready, Brian.
Yeah, go. I mean, Dan, go for it, my friend. Yeah.
The Twin Pines Mall sign, go for it.
Oh yeah, this one's crazy. All right, everybody. This is where I'm at. You just can't make this stuff up. I say it all the time on my Visual Disturbance channel. This one's really crazy. This is on the very first movie. I just said on the slide, look at the 1:16. This is 1:16 a.m. And then, Dan's already ripped the Band-Aid off. It's 911, the two pine trees. And then, I put question mark, and I thought, what Dan just got done talking about, two towers. So isn't it kind of ironic? And if you look over there where the thumbs up is that I placed there, there's the I think it's like not a telephone booth, but some kind of like ATM or something, like a telephone
the old
booth.
photo mats back in the 80s.
That's old photos. Yeah. Okay, that's right.
That's where you develop your pictures from, the little photo mat booths. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. So get this. So we're gonna go to that here in a minute, and I'm gonna show you all. I'm just gonna pull it out. This is how I see things. So we're just gonna.
And to clarify too, where 1:16 comes from, if you invert it. Turn it upside down, it's 9/11.
Absolutely, Dan. And then the next slide will prove it. I mean, I think it's the one with the
clock.
Was it two
stopwatches?
There's two stopwatches. So if you're watching the very first Back to the Future film, you won't catch it. It's so fast. You have to watch what you're doing. I put the thumbs up in the middle. So on this slide, it says check on the scene at 1:18. This is how my mind works, and I don't get into numerology. I just want to point this out for the sake of this broadcast. Check on the scene. So on the left side, you got Doc. He has his time watch, so stopwatch, and then he's got one on. Of course, the dog. I think his name's Einstein, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so the pink arrow I said on there, check on the scene at 1:18 and 11 times 8 equals 88. Even on there, I'm so excited. I said, I can't make this stuff up. So on the bottom, at a millisecond, it don't even like a second, that flashes on the film. Like it goes 1:18 and it goes to it zooms in, he goes, check this out. And I thought it was strange. I thought, well, maybe he would just go to 1:19 and 1:19 on both of them. You would think that. But it literally flashes just for like a half a second, 1:18, 1:18, and it goes, 1:19, 1:19. But if you watch the film, it'll zoom in. So I put on I said split second later, both stopwatches are on 1:19. Once again, like Dan is saying there in the broadcast, in the last 10 minutes, 911. Imagine that. I mean, if you want to go to the next slide Dan, I mean, we're going to tear this thing up.
Go for it.
We're going to tear it up tonight. So when you this is just, I've been wanting to do this show forever. So this is just very epic. So this next slide. So the narrative of the movie, to time travel, you have to get up to speed at 88 miles per hour. You see my little arrow there, and it says get to 88. And then Dan pointed out, the other arrow, I'll tell you in a minute. It says plus. Here's the other thing I want to note in this film on this broadcast tonight. Plus, after you hit you have to hit something. So plus always hit something to impact for this to work in all three films. Interesting, huh? And I said, because he always gets up to 88 and he hits something. What Dan pointed out, it's a photo booth back in the 80s. In the bottom here, it says, interesting to think, impact on a physical object to bend time and cross over. Makes you think about a certain day in history, doesn't it? Not going to comment. Just think about it. Well, Dan's already commented, and you're just going to, we already know what we're referring to. If you're just now tuning in, we're talking about two towers. How about that? But isn't it ironic that literally he hits something and he's hitting a photo booth at 88 miles an hour. He crashes into it. It just blows my mind when you get into Nikola Tesla. He talks about that you have to. It's anti-gravity systems, all these different things, the vibration of the body, of the human mind, and all these different things. Talking about the ether and all these different things and crossing over. And isn't it kind of ironic that this movie is basically telling what these, nefarious people are doing behind the scenes and working with, literally a fallen angel narrative. To understand what these men and women are doing, they have to be, these things are being taught by spiritual beings or something to that impactful state. It can't be just like, oh yeah, one day we're just going to walk and, I know this is just a movie running at 88 miles an hour. I get it. It's just a DeLorean with a supercharger in it. I get it. I'm just being sarcastic. But what I'm saying, somebody has to put the thought in them and somebody has to give them the intellect and intelligence to be able to process and build and forge. So we can get into the Book of Enoch and, when they taught man how to forge and make all these different things, iron, makeup, etc., industrial, whatever, all that would flow with this narrative here. So what do you Dan, it's mind-boggling stuff. If you want to go to the next slide, we can. Sure. But he hits the slide, and when he starts, and it zooms in that scene, he starts to see a flash, and you can see the flux capacitor. Well, I don't have a slide for it, but I'm just giving you all a little bit of visual, but I'm trying to explain.
Pine wall now?
Yeah, so is that the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I got them backwards. It's okay. So this one is toward the end of the movie. Look at I got the slides back. What we were saying in Kentucky, we got them backwards. We got them backwards, Dan. We got them backwards. Okay. So look at the time at the beginning. It was 1:16. Okay. Now it's 1:33. Imagine that. Time has changed by 17 minutes. A few things altered. Interesting thoughts. At the bottom, and Dan just took the slide off. But that's okay. At the bottom, this is toward the end. Go back to that one. The one we was reading with the, forgive me, Dan, it's my fault.
Yep.
There we go. This is toward the end of the movie. One pine tree, now one tower in real life. Think about it. And then not to mention the time missing. So one tower, there's two towers at the beginning of the movie. He runs back because he can't get there in time. So he's not able to drive the vehicle because the vehicle stalled whenever he crashed into the Assembly of Christ with the Reverend John Crump. And then he goes to the mall, the Lone Pine Mall, and now it's just got one single tree, and there's a 17-minute jump. So isn't that kind of wild? And he actually sees his, I guess if you want to call it a doppelganger or his, double, he's actually seeing all that play out, but right before his eyes, and seeing the other one go back, go from 88 miles an hour hitting the phone booth and then going through the process again. So it's that Gemini kind of narrative, the two, it's kind of strange, right, Dan? So it's just, I just want to point that out, everybody. So I hope y'all are enjoying this broadcast. If you're just now tuning in, hit that like button. And if you don't, I know we've been promoted at the beginning of the broadcast, throw a heater, keep your heater nice and shiny and plugged in. Don't throw it like Jason and Dan. Continue on, Dan, if you want to. Jason must have fell asleep. I don't hear a cat in the background or nothing. He's out. Oh, I hear something. I hear him fumbling around. Oh man. He's getting ready to go through. Did you hit a phone booth? That's not good. Yeah. All right. I mean a photo booth.
No, I'm chatting with people on the government.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Keep chatting with. Yeah. So just go on to the next slide, Dan. If you have anything to elaborate, man, chime in when you can. Whatever.
Real quick, went from Twin Pines Mall to Lone Pine Mall, and that's because in the movie, you got to see the movie to understand why that happened for their narrative, but there's a reason they did that for. You know, there's always a play narrative, then there's a real narrative that you don't know about, and they do that again. The symbolism is to reveal those because see and conceal to those who can't, and even the ones who can't, they put out false meanings for it. But the true meaning is only what the adept know. You know, plain and simple.
Absolutely, Dan. Super cool. Yeah, go to the next slide, man.
Philadelphia experiment.
Oh, yeah. So Philadelphia experiment. So
Project
here we go.
Rainbow.
Yeah. So Philadelphia experiment. Thanks, Dan, for letting me know. So this Philadelphia experiment. So I just want to chime in on it a little bit. We talked about it a little bit during the beginning of the broadcast. Are you still there, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. It's buffering. Okay. So anyways, get back on the horse here. So we was talking about the Philadelphia project when we was talking about Nikola Tesla and everything. According to this book here, Stuart Karapora, I think it's how you pronounce it. Project Rainbow, the horrors of the Philadelphia experiment. I want to reiterate because we're talking about Project Rainbow and all that. Let's get back on it. So the Philadelphia experiment was a secret and apparent catastrophic experiment alleged conducted by the U.S. or United States Navy in Philadelphia Harbor sometime in October of 1943. We elaborated on it earlier. The legend goes the United States, in the midst of the World War II and on the verge of long Cold War with the Soviet Union, was working on a method by which ships could render invisible through the use of electromagnetic radiation and gravity. The Philadelphia experiment, conducted a vessel called the USS Eldridge, was said to have accumulation of this intuitive. Some accounts said that this Eldridge was merely supposed to render invisibility to radar and detection technologies, while others said the ship was indeed meant to completely turn invisible. But both stories agree that some military experience occurred in Philadelphia Harbor that day, that the military had been covering it up ever since. Unsurprisingly, the U.S. Navy faultily consistently denied this experiment ever took place, while they admitted that they had worked on ways to digress the ships and doing so to prevent them from triggering enemy depth charges, and have maintained over the 70 years no experiments in the invisibility were concluded. Of course, prompts Philadelphia experiment wasn't satisfied with assurances of the United States military in the dispelling stories of alleged secret experiments. They continue to insist the Philadelphia experiment did indeed happen, and the military has been trying to suppress the evidence of this ever since. And accounts of this exact events take place in the Philadelphia experiment vary, but follows the complex of the most agreed elements of the story. And it goes on, talks about these certain ships and all these blue flashes, and which is kind of ironic when they talk about the Eldridge when it turned invisible. Get this. This goes back to the slide earlier whenever Dan was referring to the photo booth. Whenever he goes and about to ready to hit that photo booth in that mall parking lot in Back to the Future, it, no joke, you can't make this stuff up, it flashes blue like a lightning bolt, like it flashes blue. During this attempt in October of this legend of the Philadelphia experiment, literally it says the Eldridge not only turned invisible, but actually disappeared completely in a blue flash of light at the same moment at the naval base in Norfolk, Virginia. Reported the Eldridge was within a few, despite the fact that it was supposed to be almost 400 miles away from Philadelphia. The Eldridge, yeah, thank you, Dan. The Eldridge remained off the coast of Norfolk in several minutes before disappearing, and then which at point reappeared back in Philadelphia. Through the ship wound up back where it began. The experiment definitely did not have a happy ending, according to the stories affected the accidental voyage had the Elkridge crew. According to the different stories about the Philadelphia experiment, some of the crew were unaccounted for. Some of them became extremely sick or suffered from radiation burns. What's that make you think of, everybody? It makes you think of the whole UFO abduction thing with the radiation, the 1,500-page report that came out back in April of 2022 and talks. And I want to interject here. The Pentagon have fully admitted in that 1,500-page report that they had 70 years worth of time travel capability. I'm on it. I'm just going everywhere tonight. I can't help it. So the stories emerge of some crews who became physically embedded into the ship.
Yeah, some pictures of that right here. It's disturbing pictures, but
yeah,
they're like literally embedded in the ship when it repaired. Your arms and legs and limbs hanging out from inside like imagine you being like one with the wall, but it's all steel. So I couldn't even imagine that kind of pain. And it's hard to explain with words. So basically, the molecular structure of the steel, the molecular structure of you, when it goes through this warp, whatever it did, what happens when all the molecular structure is fused back together again, yours and the steel merge together as one. So basically, you are part of that steel now. And it's kind of weird, and that's what it looks like here. And I remember some of the accounts that some of the Navy men were saying that they seen their fellow shipmates just fused into the walls, just barely, like, they end up dying right away, of course, and nobody even knows what happened to the ship afterwards. I think they said it was just taken by the government, never seen again.
Absolutely. And you know what's so interesting? I'm gonna mention this real quick. There's been a lot of play, a lot of talk on the mainstream and all kinds of chatter that there's these submarines, all this stuff missing, with all the stuff that's going on in the world in 2022 and 2023, Dan, and talking about these submarines are just miraculously popping in and out. You feel me? They can't find them on detection, any kind of radar, any lidar, anything, sonar. They just pop in and out. What's that make you think of? Come on now, just think about it. What are we talking about tonight? Forgive me, but this stuff is being recorded. So what are you doing in 2022 and 2023? What do you think you can do now? I mean, come on, everybody. I mean, I bet you they've mastered something.
Oh, and especially by now.
Oh yeah, and what's so bad about it is the water. It's a water narrative. So just think about it. At the beginning, earlier, about 30, 40 minutes ago, we was talking about water panthers, the horned serpent, the underworld. He's talking about water. Isn't that ironic? How crazy that all that is, right? You just can't make this stuff up. I mean, there's a spiritual application to these things. There has to be. And then you go into this whole thing. I know he's talking about the Long Beach, Long Island, New York, all that. The scientist was talking about the remains reported the ship was actually traveled forward. Listen to this. The few crew members who remain relatively whole after this Philadelphia experiment, Dan, listen to this report. The same later reported that while the ship was out of sight, no, wait for it, Dan. This is going to make you crack up. It actually traveled forward in time to the year 1984. Their crew made contact with the scientists working at the Montauk Project in eastern Long Island, New York. There, where they told the war-ridden future where nuclear strikes between the United States and the Soviet Union had put the very survival of the human race in jeopardy. Navy officials were stunned when they were told everything that happened and everything the crew had supposedly seen in the future. They immediately canceled further testing of the nature. And according to some versions of the story, they employed brainwashing techniques to the surviving crew, the members, to make sure that they never let word spread of what had ever happened. Dan, come on now. Think about this real quick. 1984. Look at the show that they had for the last few years. Stranger Things. That show is in 1984. That narrative. Listen. 1984 Terminator. 1984 Terminator with the time travel thing narrative. Come on, Dan. And then 1985 with the Back to the Future. Listen. 1980. All the 80s was time travel and the alien narrative. Ate up. Think about it. 1984. Come on now. It's just they use the Hollywood narrative to spin and keep using that Mockingbird technology to lead the flock into whatever they want and whatever type of narrative, and they spin it and they keep saying it's just sci-fi. This stuff is documented. You have to look for it. It's mind-boggling stuff, man. Mind-boggling stuff. I just want to throw that out there. I don't know what you're taking. I'm getting wired. What is it? 2 hours in, 113 minutes in, and I'm getting wired. I'm getting fired up. So, here we go. Fire the heaters. So, so the whole aftermath narrative of see, this is what boils my mind. So what if these people, so here's another one. Another condition that the surviving crew members was alleged to have suffered after the experiment left them unable to move, speak, and if they were literally frozen in time, some recovered from the condition, which became known as the freeze. Look at the Back to the Future and what we talked about during this broadcast tonight. The Back to the Future, the car has this ice on it and everything. It's frozen, all this stuff. Doc has this hard time getting it open, all this stuff during the whole thing. And then wasn't that funny that the Tic Tac and all that has this ice or gamma radiation? They talk about the alien narrative. Isn't it kind of ironic? I'm just throwing it out there, Dan. And the spokesman of this, everything that happened around them was able to they was unable to interact. Some of them became invisible during the freeze and were able to be visible. Other Eldridge crew members, unfortunately, report side effects of Eldridge crew members who drew close to their fellows had gone into a freeze that they would burst into flames. But there weren't just any flames. They were unquenchable, ones that could not be put in out of any means of employ by the who sought to extinguish them. They couldn't put them out. I mean, it's insane. It's just crazy stuff, and it gets into World War II narrative. And I want to bring this up. All these ships, these destroyers, with these narratives, I have proof. I'm not going to disclose it on here tonight because for the sake of time. They don't dismantle them, Dan. They don't like refabricate. They don't man, you just changed shirts. Did you change shirts?
Yeah. No, it's a time glitch. It's like
it's a time glitch. Okay,
yeah.
Is that you, Dan?
Yeah, we got the heat crank too.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, I just thought I lost track of time. Yeah. So anyway, where was I, Dan? I lost. Oh yeah. So all these ships, they don't take and re-engineer them. They don't take them apart. They don't take them apart. They shoot a rocket at them and take them out in the ocean and drop them. They won't tell you the location. I got all the data. They will drop them in the ocean and let them submerge in the ground. So let that resonate when these ships, however amount of money it takes, and they're like fully intact for 50, 60 years, which that had happened. I know of one. And they shot it down in 2006 and sunk it to the ground, but we're not going to get into the subject matter of all that. But it makes me think, here's my point on it. Is it a radiation deal? Is the radiation too much? Is the fabric, have they done something so nefarious that it's too dangerous for them to get back on it and reuse it? So they have to take it to a disclosed location and then fire away and just let it set down? It has to be, Dan, because there's no excuse for it. But anyways, for the sake of time, if you want to keep going on with the slides, because we got a ton of them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, from the book Baruch.
Oh yeah, this one's awesome. So I know I know we're gonna take calls. I know everybody's giving me a hard time in the chat tonight, so God bless you all. But this slide from the book Fourth Baruch is chapter 5. It's Amalek's sleep and the preservation of the figs. Okay, so check this out. I'm gonna read it, but Dan's just gonna keep the slide up. Okay, this is not a from the KJV. It's not a biblical. It's a biblical book, but I think it's to do with the Ethiopian text, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted to just bring it up, and we're going to talk about some KJV biblical Holy Bible scriptures here soon. So chapter 5, this Amalek. Okay, I'm going to read it. Chapter 5, Amalek's sleep. So chapter 5, verse 1, Amalek carried the figs in the heat, and coming upon a tree, he sat under its shadow in order to rest for a bit. And inkling his head on the basket of figs, he fell asleep, and he slumbered for 66 years. And he did not wake up from his sleep. And after he arose from his sleep and said, would that I had slept sweetly a little longer, and my head is heavy, for I did not get enough sleep to satisfy me. Then uncovering the basket of figs, he found them dripping with sap. And he said, I wish that I could sleep a little longer, because my head is heavy. I'm however afraid lest I sleep and fail to wake up in time, so that my father, Jeremiah, will think less of me, for if he were not in a hurry, he would not have sent me today at daybreak. So I will get up and go in the heat of the day, and I will go to where there is no heat. Then getting up, he took the basket of figs, and he put it on his shoulders, and he went to Jerusalem. Yet he did not know the city, nor his house, nor his place, nor his family. And he said, blessed is the Lord, for a great has fallen upon me. This is not the city. And one moment, I've got a problem. Excuse me. So this is not a city, and I have lost my way, for when I got up from my sleep, I came by my way of a mountain road, and with my heavy head, since I have failed to get enough sleep, I have lost my way. To say this, then I became lost. And I've got lost here on my okay. With astonishment, Jeremiah, And he left the city, and observing further, he saw the characteristics, signs of the city, and said, "This is the city. Nonetheless, I have lost my way." And again, he returned to the city and he searched about, and he did not find any of his own people. So he's literally traveled. Literally, time has happened. It's a little boy, and 66 years has
So I
passed.
mean, like he fell asleep and it was 66 years later when he woke up. Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on a minute.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. So 60 years has passed. And again, he went out of the city and he continued grieving. And he said, "Blessed Lord," not knowing where he should go. And he put the basket down, saying, "I will sit here until the Lord takes away from me." While he was sitting there, he saw an aged man approaching from a field, and Amalek said to him, "I say to you, O man, what city is this?" And he said to him, "It's Jerusalem." And Amalek said to him, "Where is Jerusalem the priest, and Baruch at the public reader, and all the people of the city? For I have not found them." And the old man said to him, "Are you not of the city, seeing that today you remember of Jeremiah, that you ask about him after such a long time has passed?" So he's literally asking the man, and time has gotten away from him. Literally 66. And it's amazing, Dan. What's your comments on that? But real quick, Dan, I got to step aside real quick. Got a little bit of an issue here. So just
Yeah, no problem.
continue on. I'm going to shut the camera off and shut the audio off, and I'll be right.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, there he goes. So yeah, Brian, like he's got daughters, so sometimes they wake up and they need help with something. So yeah, that's when you really think about it, it's like wow, it's when this stuff goes on. And I had a lot of experiences myself with just like little time warps, like hours. Me and my brother and friends of ours and all that. Because years ago we used to be in ghost hunting stuff. We used to run into all kinds of crazy stuff, and I don't recommend anybody doing that stuff when you go purposely searching for this stuff. Yeah, you get what you ask for and then some. So yeah, these time travels, that's what it's called, glitches and portals. And portals is like something that would transport you through that time. And just like Baruch, he fell asleep, wakes up 60 years later. That's crazy. So did he fall asleep for 60 years or just transported? In other words, if you went to bed tonight and you sleep 6 to 8 hours, you wake up 6 to 8 hours in your reality, right? And all of a sudden it's 2030. You're like, the heck happened, You think you're in a coma for that amount of years, but you wasn't. So that could be a lot of different things, and it's just crazy. So where we're going with all this is because this goes to a supernatural thing, and people think, well, the technology does this too, with the government and all that stuff. But the thing is, this is all ancient stuff. We say this all the time. This is all ancient technology that is nothing new under the sun. The fallen angels use this technology. That's how they get around. They don't have magic to, all right, I'm going to close my eyes and disappear and end up in the other part of the planet. They have to use technology to do this stuff, and which is ancient technology. They don't have these godlike powers. A lot of people don't understand it. And like with Satan too, people think Satan's going to come back. He's going to be like a genie. Boom, boom, boom. Point his finger and somebody dies. It doesn't work that way. Satan doesn't have that kind of power. He can't resurrect people from the dead. He could appear to do that. What he'll do is he'll have one of his demons possess a dead body. That reanimate it. The guy's walking around with that, but it's not him. It's a demon possessing a person, and they use technology to do certain things. So they don't have like godlike powers. So all this technology, again, ancient technology going back thousands of years. They've done the stuff back then, and this is how the fallen angels and then the Nephilim. This is how they get transported around. This is how they do their things and their biddings. And they're setting up this whole giant world. It's called a scientific control grid. Let me put that right. Scientific control grid to bring in Satan's new world order, plain and simple. So they need all the technology and all that to be in place to do this because they can't do it without the technology. They don't have magic powers to make things happen. And when the Bible says that Satan will have power to make fire come down in the sky, that's from technology. It's not that Satan's like, I command power, fire to come down from the sky. It's some kind of a satellite or whatever doing that for Satan. It's not like, Project Blue Beam and all this other stuff that could, the Project Blue Beam, we could get into that too real quick. It's a project by NASA. They could create an illusion the size of a mountain, literally. And a lot of people think they're going to stage a fake rapture with it or whatever the case, or a fake alien invasion. They could very well do that, absolutely. But these projects have been around. There was the old Wonder Woman, the old Wonder Woman show. It was a sitcom, the Wonder Woman. She was a superhero, obviously. But one of the episodes, they had a satellite in the episode that could create illusions, optical illusions that looked real. And they got predictive program. That's the thing is when the government puts stuff out in the movies, it's something they really got. When we get noticed, I'll just say they got a Model 2.5, right? They finally revealed to the world. In reality, they got a Model 10.5. So everything they reveal, they have 10 times better behind the scenes. If this makes any sense, guys, because that's what they do. They use technology to transport themselves. And I really believe that some time travel is possible because of spiritual realms. I mean, if you bouncing out of spiritual realms, that's when people say, my friend Darren, when he passed away for 20 minutes it was, I think he said, clinically deaf, about 20 minutes on the table, and he was in hell for 2 weeks. Like, he literally felt like he was in hell for 2 weeks, and the spirit world is different. It was a whole different time conception. So when he was on that table for 15, 20 minutes, clinically dead, and then just got the oxygen going through him to keep his lungs in that, they're trying to bring him back and all that, he's in hell for 2 weeks. And when he came out, he had to actually go to PTSD classes to really, because it's like you going to Vietnam or something, but 10 times worse, So the time paradox is a lot different from reality in the spirit world. And Brian's back here.
I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. I am back.
I am back.
Yeah, I got off my game. We was talking about. Thank you, Dan, for chiming in, but I apologize, everybody, for getting.
I got the article too for you though. What is the grandfather paradox? If you want to get.
Oh yeah. So I'm glad you were going to incorporate that, Dan. And then one other thing, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Could you read the next 2 slides?
Oh yeah.
Well, no, read the. Well, not right now. If you got the grandfather, pop it up, my friend. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, because I just mentioned that real quick about time paradoxes and all that.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
What blew my mind, boggled my brain was like, if you think about the movie with this grandfather paradox thing, I couldn't believe it was a thing, first of all. And then if you think about ancestral DNA, you think about all these things that can go along with like genetics and stuff like that, and traits and everything. It's just how weird this grandfather paradox of going back and actually taking out your ancestor, like going back into your, and what was so ironic, I kept reading about it and getting into it on another narrative. I don't want to get too much into on why I was looking into this, but I thought it was really strange that these people would, this so-called paradox, you would go back and do something nefarious like that. But I think the way I take it, you'd have to stay in your in that time. I don't think you would never exist because you took out your actual grandfather. It's really strange. I come across it from a perspective of looking into Philadelphia experiment and literally looking for Navy boats and, no joke, looking at Nephilim and Raphaim. And I come across the grandfather paradox just by accidental. And I thought it was really strange because, I just stumbled upon it from looking through different researches. And so the whole paradox thing. So it reminds me of the movie Looper. Have you seen that with Bruce Willis in it?
No.
It has a silver. That's the craziest movie ever. It's insane. He actually, his older self comes back with a black bag or something over top his head. And you have silver on it. And he's like, these guys are elite warrior, like elite class of like so-called future cops or something. They have some, I don't forgot the whole narrative, but they go throughout time and taking all these people out. But like if they have their older self come and they take their older self out, it's like some kind, if they don't take the money or something, if they go rogue kind of thing, it can be very detrimental for them in that movie narrative. But anyways, this grandfather paradox, it made me think of all kinds of different things. And we, the whole, Nikola Tesla narrative, Elon Musk narrative. I mean, I have thought all kinds of craziness on this, especially whenever I stumbled upon it, just looking at it seriously, just from the Philadelphia experiment project, the rainbow, and then looking into it with the giant narrative. And I couldn't believe I stumbled upon it. But, what do you think, Dan? It's mind boggling, the whole paradox thing. What do you think about it, brother?
and the paradox is basically to say you went back in time before your mother and father had you. Actually, you know what? Let's go back further. Just say whatever generation, your mother, father, or your grandparents, right, before they had your parents. So just say you go back in time and you knocked off your grandfather, right, before he impregnated your grandmother. And in the paradox, you wouldn't exist no more. In other words, you exist in that realm, but as soon as you went back in this point in time, you would automatically disappear because your existence was gone. But then again, it would create a paradox because you went back in time. Somebody would have to go back in time to stop that, to disrupt that. And if you're not here now, it'll create this massive paradox. That's that theory. But now, if you really look at this in the Bible, right? So in the Garden of Eden, when God confronted Adam, Eve, and the snake, right, which was Satan, and he said, your seed is going to bruise her heel, and her seed, is going to crush the heel of your seed. You know, let's talk about the coming of Jesus, then the coming of the Antichrist, right? Well in the future. So what happened right there? From that day forward, what is Satan trying to do? Him and his fallen angels decided, guess what? We're going to thwart that plan. So guess what? We're going to try to prevent Jesus from even being born. So what they do, they started impregnating a woman on the earth to corrupt the bloodline and doing unspeakable things to animals and everything else, and stuff that we can't mention, green technology type stuff that we can't mention too much on YouTube here because of medical stuff. So they started corrupting the bloodline of Adam to prevent Jesus from ever coming. And now, here's the thing, too, that really makes your mind boggle now. Now, the technology, again, this technology is nothing new. And I'm sure over the years that the fallen angels advanced that technology, from 10,000 years, 6,000 years ago till now, I'm sure their technology is more advanced. And they decided a way to grow it. So are they trying to use time travel methods now to go back then to try to disrupt stuff, which God will not allow, by the way. You know what I mean? This is where all the whole, what's his name there? Oh, man, I can't think today. I'm sorry, guys.
You're fine, Dan.
The Nelson Mandela, the Mandela effect. Yeah,
Mandela effect,
that's where that comes into play, too. So, and you got people say, well, they went back in time and changed the Bible. No, they didn't do that. And we're going to do a show on that, too, real soon on that, to prove that the Mandela effect did not and does not infect the Bible. Because people mishear things. Like the lion and the lamb, for example. Oh, the lion and the lamb. But why does it say wolf and lamb? No. Jesus is the Lion of Judah and the Lamb of God. So that's where you get confused in your subconscious to think when they talk about the lion and the lamb, it's the wolf and the lamb. So they go, it's supposed to be the lion and lamb, and something like this comes along. Oh, yeah, they changed it. No, they didn't change it. It's because you're taking two different things, the Lion of Judah, the Lamb of God, versus the lion that lays down, the wolf that lays down with the lamb. So we're going to discuss all that, how that works. But, yeah, we're not saying they can't affect the past because, like the Berenstain Bears, they change little things like that. Yeah, they could affect different things, only what God allows. But, when it comes to important things, like in other words, if you say like the enemy says Dan Bidondi, we're going to take him out, right? So we're going to go back in time and knock his grandfather off, so Dan Bidondi can never exist, and Jason Bidondi, right? If God has a mission for us, they're not going to allow them to do that. They're only restricted to what God allows, because if that's the case, they can just go back in time before civilization even started and just kill Adam, and nothing happens after that. If they had it that way, they probably do that too. So you got to take that into account. So could they time travel? I believe they can, but I think they're very limited to what they can do. That's my personal belief.
Absolutely, Dan. You said it great. You nailed it, man. There's a slide that I was going to refer to in the scriptures. If you don't care to read
Acts
it,
chapter 8.
Yeah, if you don't care to read it,
Sure.
and if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's Acts chapter 8, 39 and 40, right? And it says, when they were come up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord caught away Philip. That eunuch saw him no more, and he went away rejoicing. But Philip was found at Azotus. He had passing through the, preached in all the cities until he came to Caesarea.
Yeah, so this, thank you, Diane. So we're talking about Philip here, and this is, John Hall did a really good, I think it was on a Remnant Restoration, maybe like a year and a half ago. He did it really good with him, and Patricia did a really good they had a huge show on this. But this whole caught away, when it talks about caught away Philip, if you want to go to the next slide, Diana, slide in the Strong's Concordance, and it's G726. I'm gonna probably butcher the name, everybody, but harpasso. And it's in the Strong's Concordance in the Greek. If you want to switch it over, yeah, you did. It's the meaning of it, translation, to siege, to carry off by force, to siege on, claim for oneself eagerly, to snatch out or away, caught up by force, caught away, catch away, pluck, catcheth, pulling. And if you look at the scriptures, I did the math on it. I'm pretty sure, because I was looking at it and I was trying to really dig into the Acts 8, 39, 40. From what I gathered, it was a 30. I'm losing my mind here. Hey, welcome to Time Travel Glitches and Portal. Dan's changing clothes before my very eyes, and nobody's even seeing it. And I disappeared during the broadcast, and here we are. So, anyways, I think it was 30 I think it was 18 miles. I think it was approximately 18 miles from city to city. That's where he went in the water and then reappeared 18 miles away. I'm pretty sure it was 18 miles based off what I was looking into that scripture. So God miraculously moved him. So I wanted to point that out. I know it's a little, I was wanting to show it for literally because it's in the KJV Bible. Just go look, go check it out for yourself if you want to check it in, and then get a Strong's out and just type in G726, the caught up. I just thought it was really interesting. If you want to go that whole slide, I actually like it. I just love all the scriptures, but I thought this is interesting for this show. But let me get it on here. And when they were come up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord caught away Philip, and that the eunuch saw him no more, and that he literally. And I was looking into the narrative. It was 18 miles from what I gathered. I had to do a little bit of research on it to look it up. I don't know if that's accurate, but 18 miles miraculously just going to the water and then getting caught away. And I thought it was really interesting. I just want to chime in and place that in the broadcast tonight. And then, the last verse, if you want to read that one, I wanted to bring all this in. We've been talking about some wild stuff, talking about lightning striking clock towers. We're talking about Black Panthers. We're talking about the horned serpent. And if you feel like reading it, if you don't feel like reading the last verse, if your throat's getting dried out, because I want to save your voice, I can read it. I don't mind to read it, but I have a few more verses on there.
Sure. So Luke 10, 18, and 20 says, "And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. And behold, I give you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. Notwithstanding in this, rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your name is written in heaven." So this is one of my favorite verses too. And you understand the powerness, right? That he's given his apostles at the time. And I think it was the group of 90 people, 70, whatever it was. So, he had a group of people, also the apostles, to help spread the word, because he said the harvest is coming soon. Actually, I'm on this book right now. I'm doing a biblical series right now, and I'm on Luke, actually, chapter 10.
There you go.
It's kind of weird how that works out. But, yeah. And so, basically, chapter 9, he gives, what is it? Oh, man, I think it's 90 people aside from the apostles. Because earlier he, to spread the gospel, from him and the apostles, the 12 apostles going to each city. Now, time's drawing near, his death is coming. the crucifixion. So he said, all right, we got to speed things up here. And there's so much harvest, only few harvesters to do it. So what he did was he granted the power to exorcise demons, heal people, forgive people, and all that to his 12 apostles. And he said spread out. So instead of 13 people going to each city, he had all 13 of them spread out to go to their own cities. So now it was even drawn more close. He had I think, again, don't quote me, I think it was 60 and 90 people more that, followers that became followers of him, besides the apostles, to go out and spread out like wildfire and to spread out and to have these gifts and all that. So this is what he was telling each of them. And he goes talk about Satan having as lightning falling from heaven, and he goes, "Behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and all the power of the enemy." So basically, when you go into these cities and you're gonna be rebuked, you're gonna be chastised, some people are gonna welcome, whatever the case. But the thing is, the enemy's gonna try to attack you. But he says, "Behold, I give you that power to tread over serpents and scorpions, and no harm will come to you." Plain and simple. So this is a spiritual war, because now, the doctrine of Christ is going through the entire continent of Europe and Middle East. It's starting to spread like wildfire, especially in the Middle East, and it's starting to spread into Europe and all that. So this is where it all, because we're Rome and Italy. It's Rome. You got Rome and you got Israel, right? So that's where Europe and the Middle East is. That's in the center core. Now the doctrine's starting to spread out. And so they were spreading like wildfire doing that, and he had to protect his people because the enemy was getting worse and worse to attack him. They were trying to accuse Jesus of everything in sight. So time was drawing down. So Jesus was like, all right, we got to speed things up. So I'm going to give you people the power to do this. But the thing is, that doesn't stop there. So if we call upon his name, we can't go heal people. We can't raise people from the dead. They were only given these powers back then for a limited time. And after Jesus left, it was by faith after that. So in that, debunks the Catholic Church, because it's like, well, Jesus gave the apostles these abilities, so therefore the Catholic priests could have them. No, this two different things. The apostles and Catholic priests are two different things. Let's put that straight. And the apostles didn't have those powers for the rest of their lives. Or the followers afterwards. So they didn't have those powers. Yeah, we could cast out demons in his name. Absolutely, we have the authority to do that. But to do the things Jesus did, we don't have the authority to do that. And I'm not saying it can't happen if we pray through Jesus to heal somebody. That happens all the time. We pray on the show all the time, and we help people who have afflictions. And it's not us; it's Jesus doing it to us. But I'm saying for us to say, go, touch somebody, or you're healed, get up and walk away. We don't have that, but I just had to clarify that. But yeah, this is very powerful. This is a very powerful verse. And if you actually meditate on that, which Luke chapter 10, that's going to be coming out this week, I believe, or next week. I forgot where I am. I know I did 7, 8, and 9. So this chapter 10 will come out Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday, I'll have chapter 10, and it explains everything about this verse and its context. But I'm sorry, Brian, I don't know if that where you're going with this verse, but
that's perfect. No, I was literally, because I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. I was just relating it to what we've talked about tonight with the clock tower, the lightning striking the DeLorean, all these things. It's manifesting in this movie and all this. It's kind of strange. There's a cultic nature to the narrative.
And then part 2. When at the end of part 2, remember he was trying to land because it was windy out.
Oh yeah, and there was one more slide. I forgot about it. You remember the one you told me, and you said, "Did you get them all?" And there was one I forgot. It was the one with the 9 and the 1-1. Darn it, Dan!
I'll pull that up because I still got it on my computer.
Pull it up, my friend. There was one more. And forgive me, Dan, because you said, "Did you get them all?" And I said, "I did." That was one that I forgot. Check this out, guys. Whenever Dan pulls it up, when he goes back before he hits that theater that has Assembly of Christ, but he was actually in 1955, and whenever he was trying to send him to 1985 to hit that theater, he literally, whenever it zooms out, the footage of the actual the camera keeps zooming out, and then you'll see 2 streaks of light or 2 streaks of fire. And then I think the license plate comes out. It says "out of time," and then you look up, and it has a neon light that actually says the number 9, and it literally comes out, and you can see the wire, the conductive wire whenever went across the courthouse, and whenever Doc hooked the wire up and then sent
Oh, there it
Marty
is right
back
there.
into the future, and you can see the 9/11. It's just point blank in your face, guys. So, yeah, sorry about that, Dan. That was one slide that I let slip my mind, and I was really going to do that
Yeah, I
one
was
pretty
actually trying to
good.
bring it back up because I was looking through the slides. I'm like, it's not there.
Oh my
We know
goodness,
we
Dan!
talked
You
about
should have said
9/11.
you should have said something. You should have said something. I could have made it happen. I'm
Well,
forgive me,
there it is
Dan.
right there. So
Forgive me,
there's
Dan.
the auto industry sign right there,
Mm-hmm.
shaped into a 9. When he was zipped back in, the afterburner of the tires, whatever, a fire
Mm-hmm.
trail. It's like 9 and 11.
Yeah, and he literally hits that where he literally impacts. See, he hits that theater. This is in 1955 whenever this 9/11 pops up, and Marty goes back or goes forward in time, and he hits the theater in
Yeah,
1985.
Yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
crashes right into the theater. So that's
Yeah,
9/11. And he has the other thing too, right? In the movie, when he crashes into the barn, right? In the beginning of the first movie, and the kid says it looks like an airplane without wings. So there you go. 9/11, an airplane going into the building. And look at where it says town. Look at the neon lights. It's like the shape of a tower. See
you
where it
just
says
can't make
town
this
right
stuff
there?
up.
Yeah.
We just
So
can't make it up.
9/11, and again, they say that because the DeLorean back in 1955, look, when the kids see it, they told his father it looks like an airplane without wings because it crashed into the barn.
Absolutely.
And yeah, an airplane on fire into the towers right there.
Absolutely, Dan. Oh, and real quick, no joke. I don't have it up, but that propped. When you go back to the courthouse square there in the front, there's a fountain. On the aerial view of it, it literally looks. It has concrete paths, and it looks like CERN, like a hadron collider. The way the concrete structure is laid around it, no joke. That's as of right now in real life. I just want to throw it out there, but
What this one?
yeah.
here?
Forgive me, Dan. I
Well-
cannot believe I let you down on that slide. That was going to be one of the most
Biff Tanner's Pleasure Paradise.
killer slides there, and I messed that one up. What is it?
Were you talking about Biff Tanner's Pleasure Paradise?
No, the actual courthouse,
Oh.
the actual replica of the courthouse. There's just weird. It's just weird. You have to go. It's just really strange.
But anyway, there's
but yeah,
let me go back.
very
There's
go
when he
ahead.
goes back in time, because that wire going across, the lightning strikes the clock tower, the electric runs down the wire. That's what jolts the car. So it disappears in 1955 here, right? Then reappears in 1985. And of course, if you notice, back then it was a town theater, and in 1985 it became a church, Assembly of God. So it's got, and again, it looks like an airplane without wings, a DeLorean. So
Yeah,
went
exactly.
back in time. There's 9/11 right in your face, and crash into a building.
And like I said, and here's another thing, Dan. In the third movie, he crashes into a projector. You remember he goes
Yeah.
into a projector, and then on the other side of the projector, there's Indians
Yep.
like running toward him. So it's just there's so much stuff in that. It's just we could talk about it all day. I mean, there's just so much. It's been such a good show. I've been glad to be part of it. I'm
Yeah.
thankful that we was able to do it. I'm very thankful. I mean, I want to take calls if you do.
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody too. Thank you for donating too. While we have a
Thank
minute,
you so much.
bless you all. And then I think one person has bought a mug. God bless you. I know who you are. I hope you enjoy the mug. I'm going to keep them up for just a few days. It's kind of like a limited time deal with that T-shirt and that mug. So just because it goes along with the show. So God bless you all and thank you all for everything. Seriously, thank you all for your time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we're going to take calls. I always enjoy that, and I know it's important. And if you're just now tuning in, rewind or just wait to rewind it after we get done taking calls if you want to participate in getting calls. So yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to point out too, guys. It's like when we put a donation page up, it goes, and I'm going to disclose where the money goes because we pay for streaming on Rumble and we pay for studio. We're in an office building, so we pay for the studio rent here and the equipment we need, the internet service, like everything comes along. I mean, all the stuff and plus equipment that breaks down, whatever the case. So that's where the money goes. And if I was at home in my mom's basement, which I was because I wouldn't have bills to pay, so I wouldn't even be charging people, action for donations. I'm sorry. So that link there in the chat room, it's Ko-Fi. That's a page it's like it takes any kind of credit cards, whatever the case. But thank you guys for doing that. And the best thing you could do beyond money, guys, is pray for us. Prayers is number one important, more than anything, more than money. And don't feel bad or obligated you have to donate, guys. Like the Bible says, give what you're right and your left not know what's going on. Plain and simple. Just when you do eat alms and all that stuff, that's what Jesus says. Just give what you're right and your left doesn't know nothing about it. Do it in secret, That's why we started hiding it, because before the names used to pop up on the screen. And I know a lot of people who donated didn't like that because they believe in that virtual, that when you give, don't have, oh, look at me, oh, I gave $100. You know what I mean? They don't want to be advertised, you know what I mean? Because you give it, like the Father says in Matthew, Jesus says in Matthew, right? If you give in secret, the Father rewards you openly. And if you give openly, you've already got your reward. You're not going to get no reward in heaven. So always remember that stuff. And a lot of churches don't do that. You get some guy in the front row of the church, right? They always sit up in front. The butt kisses of the church. The front 2 rows, right? So the basket's coming along. Here he is. $100 bill. Make sure everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. Oh, the Smiths are giving $100 bills in the basket. So the guy behind you that, is kind of poor, who's only got $2, he's like, ugh. So he hides his money in his hand to make it look like he's got some good money, but it's only $2 and he feels like crap. You know what I mean? We don't want you feeling like that. You know what I mean? Whatever the Father, says to give, do it. But if not, it's not even important. Prayers are more important than that. So we're not like those phony churches out there. We're not prosperity people, whatever the case. And just give. If you want to give, you do it from pray for it for us and let the Father decide. And like the alms, give what you're right and left not know what's going on. Don't be like the hypocrites in the synagogues. Jesus says that do things openly to show, oh, look at me. Oh, yeah. And we all been to these churches, right? You always got the people in the front, like I said, they got to show off. Oh, if the pastor says the stupidest thing, they're all giggly over the pastor to try to kiss butt with the pastor. We all seen these people. So my aunt's like that. Me and Jason, we have one aunt that does that in our church there, but yeah, I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, thank you guys so much. So if you guys want to take some call up, there's a phone number up on the screen. We'll put it in the chat room too. So we'll take some phone calls, and it doesn't matter what you want to talk about. All we ask you guys is just don't talk about elections and don't talk about the jabs. That's all. Try to keep it on the topic, and if you got testimonies, even if it has nothing to do with this, if you got testimonies, please, by all means, call and tell us. Or if you got questions or prayer requests, or you just want to say, hey, guys, what's up? You guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Or if you want to call us, hey, you guys, you suck. You guys stink. You should be on the air. To go for it, whatever the case. So we on a free speech here, so God bless you. So here's the phone number in the chat room and up on the screen as well. So we want to hear you guys. And it's always how it is. Nobody calls, then the first person calls, and all of a sudden it starts piling up. And I want to listen very carefully, please. I said, when you call, right, and if you don't get in their way, hang up on you right away or deny the call, don't call back because we'll have your number on screen. So because it interrupts the other callers. So, Brother Tim, what's going on? Woo!
Woo! I see the number on the screen.
The number on the screen. How you doing, brother?
All right, can y'all hear me all right this time? Hey, you want a little testimony about my trip to Texas? We got time?
Yep.
Okay, so on the way there, have a big blowout in Mississippi because the roads are so bad. Well, I bent the axle in the camper and didn't know it. So I get there, and everything seems to be going good. I was going to work for a little rent till I got a job. Well, anyway, this dude who's supposed to be a Christian.
What's his name?
From out of nowhere, he breaks his word.
Put his name out there. God, people need to know so they don't. What's his name?
Well, it's Jerry Tony. Got a YouTube channel. All these people have donated this money for him to build this RV park. It's supposed to be Christian community and all. And what I didn't find is another website that everyone who's been there, they go on there and put their experiences, and he has just been narcissistic, mean and hateful and kicked everyone out. Volunteers. All right, people donated. I tried for 2 years to get out there, right, talking on and off with him. And I thought I saw consistency, but anyway, his people donated gas money to me to get out there. And I get out there, oh, you got to pay me back.
What?
And gives me a bill for like $650.
Wow.
But anyhow, in the end,
Even though they donated the money for you to get there, you got to pay him back?
right, and they had donated an RV for homeless to live in, and he was selling it to a guy who was living in his truck and come out there and help him build the place. All right, and the guy made a few payments, then he goes and kicks him out and takes the RV and sells it. So, like, people should not be giving this man any money. But, so he broke his word with me, kicked me out, threatened to shoot me with a .357, robbed me of $200, threatened to shoot my tires, bust all the windows out, threatened to bash me in the head with a rock. So these are wolves in sheep's clothing.
What's his YouTube name? What's his channel name?
It's his name's Jerry Tony, and I think he's changed the name of it. It's called Repentance Call now, I believe. He said he was in his first videos. He said he's not a pastor. Then he started calling himself a pastor, and then he started calling himself a prophet.
Oh, has he got white beard?
Huh?
A prophet for the last days of Repentance Call. Has he got a white beard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him right there.
Yep, that's him. And glasses.
Doesn't have any content. How's it possible? Channel doesn't have any content, but he's got 42,000 subscribers. Oh, there's the videos.
He's got videos on there.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, so if anybody who claims to be a prophet, I mean, you gotta that's a bold statement. A prophet or apostle or whatever. Like, I would never ever in the world claim to be anything like that. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a servant of Jesus Christ. That's all I am. I'm not no prophet or apostle.
Right.
And these people that give themselves these noble titles, those people you need to stay away from. That actually ticks me off, to tell you the truth.
Well, see, they make these little comments like, oh, it's starting to fill up. As soon as they get people out there, they run them off. They kick them out, and he's got everything linked up through his business. They got a church on the property they don't use. The businesses all are listed in Delaware, not in Texas. So he's got something going on there. But I just want people to be, warned. But, I had a bent axle, and it took me like 5 tires to get back home.
Wow.
And I had to, go into debt. And I talked to this guy. I said, listen, something happens, you get mad, change your mind. I'm stuck there. I've got nowhere to go. So,
yeah, because I know you've been trying to get out there for a long time.
Yeah, for like 2 years, and for some reason I didn't have the discernment that was my sign not to go. But and this guy's a 70-year-old man too, so. But it was one heck of a trip. But Father saw me through, and he sent me help at the times that I needed it. I just needed better discernment. But you live and you learn. You don't know about people until you're right there in front of them for a little bit.
That ticks me off. The description, like a prophet for the last days, calling all men to repentance before the hour is too late. No, you call men to Jesus for repentance, not, and if you call yourself a prophet for the last days. I don't know, that really irks me.
Yeah. Well, while you're ripping off and hurting and isolating the body of Christ, and robbing them, threatening to shoot them while you're telling them to repent, I guess that all just goes hand in hand quite nicely, doesn't it? But of course, like we're supposed to do, I forgive them, but I just want people to be warned and just stay away from that guy's place, because there's no phone signal, no internet. There's not even really any TV signal. He gets people out there, they're broke, they're down, they're vulnerable.
See,
You get out there, it gets them isolated, and it's not a good thing.
See, normally I would
it's
put somebody on the spot
advertised
like that without proof, but I know you, Tim, and you're not the only one that said that. So it's coming from credible people about this guy. So, and on top of it, the very fact that he's a prophet, yeah, that's a jackass. Excuse my language.
Yeah. I mean, the word even tells you not to have names and titles and all that stuff. But if you're narcissistic, but no, this is, I was there. I lived it. It was my experience. It's not to slander the guy or gossip. It's to warn others. Just like he's nothing what he comes across. And it cost me a lot of money that I had to borrow to get back from there and pay for all them tires and stuff. Lesson learned. But I've been missing all you guys and everyone in chat. Been missing the shows. Out there I didn't have any signal. It was horrible. -3 degrees. I had strep throat and pneumonia. Winds blowing 40 to 60 miles an hour. Snow flurries. It was kind of miserable.
Well, I bet. Yeah, God bless you, Tim. I know the journey you've been through too, and yeah, that's rough to hear.
Yeah. But anyway, good show as always, and like I say, I just been missing everybody. Sorry, I had a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, we miss you too,
Please
brother.
keep me in your prayers. I got a even deeper hole I got to try to dig out of.
Well, before you go, let's do a prayer for you.
All right.
So everybody want to join us prayer for Brother Tim here. So Yeshua Messiah, we come before you, and we ask you, and make us pure first, Lord, and forgive us for our sins and trespasses. And Heavenly Father, we ask you to comfort Brother Tim here, and for whatever the purpose of him going out there, if it's your divine purpose or the enemy's, we ask you, Lord, to help comfort Tim and to rebuild him with some finances and just get him back on track again, Lord. Because Tim's a great brother of the ministry here. So we ask you to help out Tim here and anybody else who's been a victim to this man. And we ask you to shut this man down. If this guy truly is a false prophet and all that, and we ask you to shut him down and to bind any all evil spirits that emanate from this man. And again, bless Brother Tim here and everybody else who's been a victim to this insane ministry. In your heavenly name, amen.
Amen. Yeah, but the first thing we do is forgive them. That way it don't stay attached to you and get all bogged down and eat you up like a cancer. But one thing's for sure, he did not take the woo out of me.
That's awesome.
But anyway, here's the icebreaker. I'll let somebody else call in, and so
thank you, Tim.
To hear your voices, you and Brian, and to finally get back and see some shows again.
Awesome. And I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Oh, and Dan, one more thing. I sent Valerie a link. Maybe she can send it to you. This woman actually filmed him kicking her out and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So there's like video evidence, and everyone's, anyway, there's a place that I wish I would have found before I left, but
well, you know what, though? Tell her to send it to me because I'll play it. The thing is, we forgive people like this, absolutely, but the thing is, the Bible also tells us to expose these people, too. Expose false prophets.
Right, he needs to be exposed because as he was kicking me out, there's a poor couple was headed to him from Michigan, and they won't last long. They don't know what's coming, but yeah, we'll get you some links and some video proof and stuff. And
I'll tell you one thing: it's a good thing for him that I don't live in Texas, because if you were to call me up and tell me that, and it's like this guy's doing that, I would have come down there and give him a taste of his own medicine. That's for sure.
Yeah, but 70-year-old man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But
hey,
here's
Lariva,
the thing.
Could you try to Lariva tagged me, she said in the Facebook. So could you try to send it in my inbox, because I'm probably going to miss it because I get 1,000 notifications. So, and if I don't see it within the next 5 minutes or so, it's going to be way down the list and I might not even see it. So if you could somehow send it to my inbox, that'd be great. You know what I mean? So, yeah, thank you, Tim.
Right. And let's see. There's one. Doggone, it was important. Well, anyway, you guys have a good night. Good to see you again, and love everybody. Woo to
Love you
you.
too. Woo!
All right. Later.
Yeah, Sister Max tried calling too. So, yeah, Lariva, try to send my inbox. Oh, thank you. And so let's call Sister Max. She tried to call. So the frequent callers, I saved the names in the caller thing. Yeah. Sister Max, what's up?
What up?
How you doing?
I am much better this week compared to
Oh,
last
good.
week after recovering from surgery. How are y'all doing?
Oh, pretty good. Just hanging in there with the cold.
Oh yeah, Texas just got another freeze, and I got a couple friends who's been out of electricity for about 2 days using my shower and whatnot. I was like, Texas is slacking. This never used to happen in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So you know something's happening.
Yeah, I remember last year, the year before, whatever, you guys got a ice blizzard down there or something. Froze
Yeah,
up all
no
the
electricity
power plants.
for like about a week straight. We had no electric, and we were iced in our neighborhood. That was crazy. But yeah, I'm recovering just fine.
Oh, good.
I need to
God bless you.
I need to watch myself though, because I feel like I'm getting like kind of slightly heavily involved in the medical system.
Mm-hmm.
This Monday, they're gonna cut out some foreign body or whatever. They just happened to catch it on an X-ray, because I've been having eczema on my middle finger for like the longest time, and then something happened to it. I thought I had broken it, but it's not broken. But when they took the X-ray, they found some stuff in my fingers that's not my body, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it might have been from when I worked construction. Like I did a lot of weld grinding and sheet metal and all that. Or aliens planted a chip in my right hand. Oh. But anyways, yeah, just pray they don't knock any nerves out. Huh?
They inserted a chip into you.
I know, right? I thought about that, but I was like, no, I'm still praying to Jesus, so I'm still here.
Well, yeah, before you go to it, we'll pray for you. So, guys, everybody, let's pray for Sister Max here. So, Lord Heavenly Father, we come before you again to ask you to help heal Sister Max here so she don't need no more surgeries or operations or MRIs or anything of the sort, and to break her away from the medical scene because we know how they are. So we ask you to heal her, Lord, and give her speedy recovery and for a long and healthy life, and bless her and her family and protect them from any and all evil, and protect us all as well from any and all evil. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Break free from that medical system.
Yep. The big pharma key. Oops, we got to watch what we say. Keep forgetting we're on YouTube, but yeah.
Right. Oh, I did want to talk about that. You say you did some research, or if you actually read those books, those Barone Trump books and whatnot.
Oh, Baron Trump. I haven't read it yet, but I heard that he said he's seen Donald Trump in the future being president, whatever. I don't know exactly how that's quoted, but do you know, Brian?
Yeah, it's just I can't remember how it's worded in it, but it just talks about the last president, and the gentleman's name is Trump. The last Trump. He's literally the last president. Strange.
It's called The Last President. And
strange stuff.
Like the beginning of the book, there was like a riot that broke out on November 3rd on Fifth Avenue in New York, and there's a tower on Fifth Avenue in New York, and there was something about 2 years on November 3rd. And so this dude, he goes, I guess it's that Barone Trump kid or whatever, whoever it was, he decides he's going to go run for president. And then while he's up in there, he's like picking out his cabinet members. And I poop you not, the dude's name was Pence, one of the dudes. And fast forward like to the end, like chaos breaks out. I think Russia was like mentioned in there, but like the White House ends up getting blown up and dynamite. So we'll see how all that goes. It was an interesting book. Just the names and the coincidences and the dates and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, my personal opinion on time travel is like, I don't know. If you ever listen to this dude, Chuck Missler, he is very intelligent. Like, he started doing ham radio and stuff when he was like 9 years old.
Yeah,
And he was in
Chuck's
the
awesome.
Navy. Yeah, he was in the Navy. He did engineering, and he was just productive his entire life. And he wrote a book. I forgot what it's called, Time and Space. And he does go through like how Albert Einstein was observing Newton's theories and laws and stuff, and you know, like we experience life in a 3D world, length, width, and height. But then you got that fourth dimension, time. He says there's like 4 to 10 dimensions that we can't, you know, physically experience as we are. And how, you know, the terminology, the fabric of time, that it could like bend and fold and stretch according to like the closer you get to the speed of light, time actually stretches. That's why you see like in a lot of movies how, I don't know, I think it was in a movie. I don't know if it was a twin or if it was like a relationship. There was a movie that came out where this dude went to space and came back to Earth, and he was actually younger. So, like, if there was a twin, a pair of twin siblings or whatever, one went to outer space, one is on Earth, and one is traveling and then goes back. Say, for example, it's like 18 years to make a round trip. On Earth, for that one twin on Earth, it takes 18 years. But the dude that's in the going like 50% of light speed, by the time he comes back, it's only taken him 15 years. So he's actually 2 years younger than that other twin. And that's from, does it slow down? Something slows down. The faster you go, is that what I said? The faster you go, things start slowing down. Yeah. I believe that's what it is.
Yep.
Light speed always stays the same. And it's an interesting concept. I don't know if you could go backwards, though. Everything that I've brainwashed myself with, and everything that you see like about future predicting, it's always about the future. It's always about the future. And I mean, some stuff they go back in time and whatnot, but I think it's more manipulating the future and doing stuff in the future. And then like I think Brian said earlier, like if you went back in time and killed your great-grandpapa, you'd have to stay in that time zone because you wouldn't exist no more. These theories are. We live in some strange times. We do. Sorry, I kind of had a rambling dump of everything I could think of.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to think about and like ponder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe they could do it to an extent, and you know, they're limited, of course, only what God allows them to do, and you know, all the time. The thing is, the enemy knows this, but the thing is, they still try. Like they want to push a new world order now, but God, it's a short time, and God only when He allows it to happen. So for thousands of years, they've been trying to push a new world order before God's time, and that's why they fail all the time because it's not that time yet. And even when it is that time, there's still going to be a massive resistance. There's still going to be people fighting against it, and there's still going to be God's going to still protect some people. You know, it's like that's the way it is.
Right, and there is massive resistance, whether people can see it or not, because it ain't getting put out there.
Yep.
Like that recent protest that was not put out there, and I was like, man, that's a lot of people pissed off right now.
Yep. The thing is, too, because people don't understand that because they become complacent. I call them the modern day Christians. So, oh no, we're not here to prevent the stuff. Nobody's preventing prophecy. The thing is, you don't sit back and let things happen. You know, it's like the people have the power to do something, do it. God doesn't want you to sit back and be, oh, we're just going to let it happen and, you know, let God take care of it. That's not how it works. God puts people there for a reason. And puts people in certain time areas to do something about evil, to hold it back before it's time, you know? That's the way it is. And He doesn't say, sit back and just let evil walk all over you. No, that's not how it works. no time in history, if you look in the Bible, all God's people, anytime tyrants came to them, they stood right to their faces and fought them and defeated them. And, it hasn't changed today. But today, that's why this country is weak right now. That's why it's fallen, because they give themselves over to fornication and idols and all that. But the thing is, how many Christians out there, they're awake, yeah, they know what's going on, yeah, but they do nothing because they're a bunch of cowards. That's plain and simple what they do. They're a bunch of cowards because they think, if we do something, we'll be trying to prevent God's. No, you're not doing that, because God gives you the ability to do something about it. Do it. We're supposed to stand up, like with exposing that clown there earlier. That's what our job is. People say, well, just don't give them the time and day and all that. No, our job is to expose evil. That's plain and simple. If, that's what we're supposed to do, we're called to do, expose the deeds of evil. Blow the trumpet. When we see danger coming in the land, blow the trumpet and warn people. Now, what they do regardless, after you warn them, that's off your hands. But you as a watchman, your job is to blow that trumpet, say, hey, evil's coming, and this is what it is. Now, what you do from here is your choice, but this is what's coming. And if we don't warn people about these false prophets or whatever, the evil coming, what good are we? What good are we? So
Exactly.
Let people know, get some. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. People can get brainwashed by the big idea, which it's gotten that big because of people sitting down and not really doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
But I do really believe the saying that change starts at home. If you're at home, teach your children. You got a kid in school, get involved in the school with the school board and whatnot. I've seen a lot of parents doing that now. Especially, there's this one video going out. It was a daycare, not even grade school yet. Dude walked up in the daycare and said, "Why'd you put a dress on my nephew?" Just speaking out and going to school boards and stuff like that.
Good.
And that's why I say, the stuff you do is so badassery, because you already know when you deal with things at a state and on a local level, like how you're going to all these meetings for the gun rights and this and that,
Yep.
Call up your offices and tell these people, don't vote for this because it's going to take this away from us. You can do that on your couch.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got to be a superhero.
Yeah, when I first started this whole movement years ago, I was just the only person out here doing this stuff. Only person, and it sparked a couple other people to do it. Now they're running their own little things there, and we're making great strides. All it takes is that one person to stand up and start speaking out, and don't be afraid to do it. I could care less when they go confront the governor and all that, and these people, they walk around like their heads are up their butt, and they're like, God, I look down at them like, yeah, you guys are nothing. And I tell them to their faces too. I don't care if they got a boatload of cops with them. I'll tell them right to their faces, God's going to cut your ass down. And the look of fear into the eyes when you say that. It's so funny. Yeah, it really is when you put these people right in their place. And it's great. It's a good feeling because you're not afraid. The thing is, you could care less. I'm looking at these people. What in the hell you go to do to me? Seriously. What in the hell you go to do to me? What, you could maybe arrest me and kill me? That's about it. You're not taking my soul, you know what I mean? Because, the Father says that, I give you the power to travel over scorpions and snakes, no harm will come upon you. So if God is with you, who could be against you? So what in the hell are you going to possibly do to me? Seriously. And that plain and simple. I know I say plain and simple a lot, but yeah, it's plain and simple. What are you going to do to me? Seriously. Yeah, and that's what
Tell him, God gonna cut your ass down.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I remember last year I yelled right to the gun, right to his face. I said, God's going to cut your ass down, you evil bastard. And just like that, I don't care. And these people need to be put on notice. They need to be told to their faces to show that us minions, the little peasants out here, we're not afraid of you. We're not your slaves. We're going to stand up against you. And they're trying to attack a gun rights here in Rhode Island. They're killing babies. They're legalizing killing babies now. Up to birth, you could kill a baby, no problem. And they now want to attack our gun rights, and they think we're going to sit down and shut up. And I told them to their faces at the State House, told them on Twitter, over my dead body, you're going to take my guns. Plain and simple. And we're not afraid of you. You know what I mean? We're not going. And the thing is, we need to spread this contagious liberty across this country. You know, it's not just liberty. It's this God created liberty. You know, God gave us the courage to steal and all that. So we need to spread it to other Christians. Don't be afraid. Stand up, yell, look in their faces with no fear, and laugh at them because they're a bunch of cockroaches. That's exactly what they are. When you see these people face to face for what they really are, and on the spiritual side of this, you look at them, you laugh because they're a bunch of pathetic, spineless cockroach demonic scum. That's what they are. And they're controlled by these weak, pathetic demons. That's what they are. When you look at them, you just want to spiritually take them and choke them into the pits of hell. You know what I mean? That's the way Christians should be. Because years ago, man, in this country, that's what the regular men and women's country, that's what the spirit they had. They knew the British, right? When the British, the world's strongest army, most army, they didn't care. It's like we know we got God on us. God will give us victory with a pitchfork over your guns or a little musket over your high-powered weapons. They didn't care because they had the Spirit of God with them. That's what gave them the power of victory. Because Jesus says over and over again, it's like with the woman, right? When she busted through the crowd, she goes, "If I could just touch his tassel, I'll be whole again," right? And she touched his tassel. Jesus stopped, and he's like, "Who touched my tassel?" Because he felt the countenance leave him. And he said, "I felt my countenance leave out of me." And she goes, "It was me." And she was afraid. "Oh, my God, I'm sorry." He goes, "No, don't be sorry. Because you had faith. It wasn't the tassel that healed you. Because the faith you had in me, that made you whole again, that healed you." So if we could understand that and harness that spiritual power for God's purposes, we could do anything. And there's not a damn thing these people could do out there. They could send all the military they want after you. And there's not a darn thing they could do. They could all hundreds of troops could point guns at you right now. Pull those triggers. And if God says, "You know what, this guy's going to live," and not one hair is going to be harmed upon your head, they could pull all the triggers they want, throw all the grenades at you. Guess what? Not one hair upon your head is going to be destroyed. And that's the real power of God. If people understand that, he says, if you have faith of the size of a seed of mustard seed, right? If you have that much faith, you can move mountains. So, you look at these enemies knowing that, right? It's like, what are you going to do to me? What can you do to me? You can't do crap. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. Do what you want, because guess what? And if you do something, guess what's going to happen? Either way, God's coming back with a sword. He's not come back to make peace. He's come back to kick some major butt, plain and simple. And you people are going to be cut down to hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that chick that touched Jesus' clothes, which is cool. She had faith and she went up to him and touched him. But really, the more I think about that, I still see that she had a barrier in her mind, because she had faith that Jesus could heal her, but she thought she had to touch his clothes. When really he could have just healed her with her faith alone.
Yeah.
She put, how, only if I did this or if I did that right, then God's going to be pleased with me and then he'll heal me. Or God's not going to heal me because I'm busy messing up over here or whatever. It's like, no, he wants to genuinely heal you. It's like what was he? He was a centurion. That centurion dude, he's like, "I understand authority. You don't even got to go touch a little boy or whatever and he'll be healed." And he's like, "Man, Jesus said, I ain't seen faith like this." I'm not knocking the lady now at all. She was already, she touched Jesus. If I could touch Jesus' clothes, I'd be like, "Hey, can I get your little shawl thingy and use it as a blankie? That'd be cool."
Yeah, the little boy said if he's got, who was it? Yeah, has more faith than anybody in Israel.
Yeah, it's just that authority, and it's not. What's that one song that says it's not because of who I am, it's because of who you are? It's not what I done, it's what you done. I used to play it on the piano a lot. It's called "Who Am I" by Casting Crowns. We put our own barriers and think we can't do a lot of things or God wouldn't use us, and it's like thank God it's not about us, because if it was about us, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
It's all about the finished work on the cross, what God does and works through you, and you just got to have that faith. God can do anything. Mm-hmm. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. You're right either way. Yep. It's based on your faith.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the call, sister, and love you, and God bless you and the family.
Yeah, thanks. Good conversation and good
Yeah,
show.
absolutely.
Love y'all too. Y'all take it easy.
Thank you. Shabbat
Bless.
shalom.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom. Later.
Later. And we got two other callers, and two other callers in the mist here. So 85 number 859. Sorry for the rant, guys. It's just like these people really. Oh man, they get me righteously angry to no end. Hello.
Hello?
This is Dan Bidondi. You're on the air. What's your name? Hello? Oh, guess not. All right, try the next one. 731 number. I guess they got stage fright. So we'll call you back, guys, if we don't answer right away, as you can see here. Hey, how you doing? This is Dan Bidondi. What's your name? You're on the air.
Hold on one second. My name is Ray.
Brent?
Ray?
Ray. Hey, how you doing, Ray?
I'm doing all right. I didn't catch the show. I slept in, or I fell asleep and woke up.
Oh, no
I'm
problem.
not sure what you guys talked about. I just watched last week and wanted to go in.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on time travel, glitches, portals, all that good stuff?
I think the whole predictive programming thing
Yep.
more than anything.
Hmm.
But I had a question, and I was wondering if you guys had heard anything about Chippewa Lake when it comes to like the whole Indian narrative and the whole giant thing.
Oh, you mean about the Indians count for the Giants and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my brother here were both on my mother's side. We're Italian on my father's side, but my mother's side is Native American Wampanoag, which is the Thanksgiving tribe, whatever. So, tribe historian, they got stories going way back thousands of years about giants. And they're all actually right here in America. Where are you from, by the way?
Around Chippewa Lake. It's in Ohio.
Oh, all right. So out here in New England is where the King Philip War was started. It's basically when the settlers came here and the British tried to overthrow the Indians. So all the tribes got together to try to kick them out. So they called it the King Philip War because the one who started was our ancestor. He was a grand chief, Metacomet. The British called him King Philip for whatever reason. So anyway, during that war, there was giants. There's actually newspaper articles and all that. Me and Brian's actually going to do a show in a couple weeks called Giants in the News.
I swam in the lake and found bones that they said were the cows, but they didn't look like they were the cows. If you ask me.
Yep.
From in the lake.
Wow.
And when you guys did the Serpent Mountain episode, if you actually like look at the town, it looks like the whole town can be built on like a giant mountain. It's crazy. But I just want to call in because that episode you guys did about the mountains triggered it, and I always fall asleep.
That's all right.
That's it. All on you guys.
Yeah, the Indian stuff like that, you got very accurate. And if you notice, right, if you take the Indians account and also all these ancient cultures, right, of course they'll have different names for it, but it's all the same narrative. Mm-hmm. It's all the same stories. And so, it's with the biblical, the Bible calls the Nephilim.
It's the town with the old Cedar Point, where Cedar Point took over.
Yep.
It was the first amusement park.
Oh, okay.
Or that's it.
So, but that was it. I just thought you guys might find that interesting. I thought that went along with your mountain show.
All right. Thank you for the call, brother.
Yep.
You'll be blessed.
Yeah,
God bless.
God bless. Is that a new thing in the chat, Brian? I see a bunch of hearts and stuff popping up.
I don't know what's going on. It's just hearts are popping left and right. I have no clue what it is. I've never seen that till tonight.
Yeah. Is that new out there? Or?
Must be, because I have not. It's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. It's like on Facebook when somebody's on Facebook Live. You can
I know it's sitting there pop. Yeah, all the emojis and stuff. I was thinking the same thing. Well, it's interesting.
Yeah. Harold McCain, thank you for the Bible verses, by the way. He's awesome. He just all night long Bible verse. That's awesome.
Push. He's always popping them off. Yeah, I know.
And Valerie and Jason and Uncle Obvious, thank you guys for doing the moderating in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody, thank you for taking part of the chat. And the chat is awesome for the fellowship. So everybody gets to know each other. And by the way, guys, if you want to spend some extra time in the chat, I don't know how much more when the show ends. So right when you see the credits roll, just hit pause on the video, and it'll buy you some time. Because the thing is, once the video ends, it kicks you off out of the chat. So if you hit pause, it buys you more time in the chat, so you guys can fellowship and get to know each other.
Yeah.
Joy says, I need prayer. My husband is very late and I can't reach him.
Oh, Joy Trillo. I'm sorry, I butcher people's names, so I apologize. So Joy says, I need prayer. My husband is very late and I can't reach him. So Heavenly Father, we come before you and ask you to help Joy Trillo, Mr. Trillo's, to get home, and hope he's safe and hope he's okay, and help him to get home, and at least call his wife here to relieve her of the tension. And we ask you for his safety in your name, amen.
Amen.
And so I hope he's okay. But the thing is out there, it's like maybe he's running late. I don't know if he's working, whatever. That happens to me. If I'm running late doing stuff, I totally forget. I tell my wife we're going to be home at a certain time, and it slips my mind. She goes, I thought you were supposed to be home at whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I got caught up with something. And it's not that you do that purposely. It's just like it just happens, So hopefully that's the case, But either way, Father, protect him. And
Absolutely.
And Brian, you've been quiet for a little while. What's up?
Oh, just taking it all in, Dan.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. Just listen to the
There's
callers.
Anne Marie calling. Sister Anne Marie. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, good. My brother says hello.
Good.
Good, Jason. You're on.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Jason. Don't throw a heater at me.
I won't. I just save it for the show.
My husband just had to go to work, so I figured I would do a quick call in. Two things. What was really interesting? Can you hear me? Okay? Am I yelling at you?
Nope. Loud and clear.
Okay. If you hear weird noise in the background, it's my puppy snoring. I'm serious. They're the loudest snoring dogs I've ever heard in my life. But I watched the movie Noah last night. My husband and I did.
Yep.
And I kept going, nope, unbiblical, nope. And he said, you're like the lady in the theater. Don't go in there. Jason got a chainsaw for you. Don't go in there. It was like you're the lady in the background going, don't you open that door. You know what's going to get you. I was like, you're so funny.
Yeah, the very beginning of that movie shows up.
But at the very end of Noah, if anybody ever watches it, and there are some significant troops, but there's a whole lot of porkies in there.
Yeah.
If you watch at the very end, I've got a snapshot. I can send it to you, Dan, email. I was able to get it on my phone. I was shocked. But I got it.
Well, one part of the movie, what got me, like when I'm watching it, right? And then when he finds out his daughter-in-law is pregnant, he takes the knife out and tries to kill her. It's like God doesn't want humanity to exist, like to end it here. It's like, which makes it's a contradiction for them to do that in the movie, because what's the point of bringing his three sons and their wives with them if it's the end of humanity? When you say, all right, Noah, just get on the boat with you and your sons, that's it. Why bring the woman? You know what I mean? So that movie's contradicting.
It's so contradicting because my husband's like, well, what's wrong with this part? And I said, well, it says Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives.
Yep.
And so when Ham decides to leave because he's walking on the beach, he saw his father naked and Japheth was there, and the two daughters were born. The twin girls were born, and he was gonna murder them. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, where's that in the Bible? And we were like, buy pork, buy bacon, buy butt roast. I'm like, it's not true. They all had their own lives.
It's like, yell at the guy in the movie. Hold on. Could you pause that movie? Look through Genesis. I'm trying to figure out where in the Bible that says that he tried to murder his grandchildren. You know, you're like, it's so dumb. That's Hollywood for you.
Exactly, and I'm like, okay, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and they were on the water for like almost a year until they hit Mount Amarat, I think it is. I'm not real sure. So long story short, really, you're going to put all the animals asleep for a year, and they're just going to be all withered up and emancipated?
Yeah. And what are they going to eat for a whole year?
I'm like, that's not true. I go, so you can knock the animals out, but you can't knock the peeps out.
Oh,
so
Jason. Jason, my brother here, pointed out too that the beginning of the movie showed evolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. It absolutely did. When they all shared all the creepy things and everything, but at the very end, when Noah goes to his wife and she's digging in the ground, and they built an altar to God after he got drunk, and it's like a week later, his hair just changed and everything. If you notice, the actress Jennifer Connelly, she has her hair up in a bun. She has a snake head eating its tail, and I've got a picture of it.
Wow. The Ouroboros.
Yeah. Yeah, because remember the snake skin, he kept saying, this is my generation, and he put it around his arm and it would glow.
Oh, yeah.
But at the very end, when she's digging in the ground and he's basically realized that he's been through so much, and she has too, and he goes to comfort her and hug her, you see in her hair she's got the snake that's eating its tail along with the head eating it. I'll email it to you. Quite interesting. And I'm like, yeah, them Luciferians got to put everything in there. Somehow, some way, they got to fit something in there.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. But my real reason is Brian might like this story. It's not real fancy, but it's got teeth. My bestie, I'm telling my age, and my prayer partner, her name is Monica. I won't give her last name, but she's a wonderful woman of God. But she is a fitness coach, and her husband is a football coach, and they have a ministry, and it's called Forbes Fire, and it's here in Tennessee. Well, I guess I just told her last name. Anyways, she got home late, and she said, hey, baby. He goes, oh, my gosh, I'm so hungry. She goes, I'll just go up the road to Chipotle's, and I'll grab us something there. What do you want? Sure, cool, fine. She leaves. She goes to Chipotle. She goes through the line. She takes the order. They said, ma'am, if you'll pull over to the side, she says, we'll bring the order out in a few minutes. They did. During this time, she looked at her phone, and she dropped her phone underneath her seat. And she's like, it was 8:30. She goes, ma'am, what a long day. Well, in the interim sidebar, we were on Facebook, and it's rare that we were on Facebook together, because I'm rarely on there. Long story short, it's about 1 a.m., and I put a heart on one of her comments, and she hearted me back. I said, you up? She said, yep. I said, want to chat? She said, sure. And so we talked till 5:30 that morning. She says, you won't believe what happened to me. I said, what? She goes, went to Chipotle's, made my order, was like there for 10 minutes, pulled over to the side. Girl brought us our food. She said, drop my phone. She goes, I got my phone out of the car, didn't look at it, but when I dropped my phone, it said 8:30. She says, when I got home, about 10 minutes away, my husband was so angry with me. We call him Coach. She says, he's never been this angry. He goes, where the HELL have you been? She goes, babe, I just went to Chipotle's to get our dinner. She goes, I had to wait a few minutes, but not that long. And he said, you have been gone for hours. And she says, no, I haven't. She pulled out her phone. It said 8:30. Their clock on the wall said 10:30.
Whoa.
She'd been gone for 2 hours, more than 2 hours, she says, because it took her about 15 minutes with traffic to get there and back, so 2.5 hours. She goes, I am not kidding. She goes, I don't know what happened. She goes, my phone isn't broken. She says, I know, and she doesn't lie. She says, I looked at it when I dropped it, and she says, well, I'll just get it out from underneath the seat when I get home. And he was shook. They sat there, and then he says, I'm going to go to bed around 12:30 their time. And she says, I time traveled somehow, some way. She says, I do not know where I was for 2 hours. She says, I can't explain it. She said, nobody would believe me but you. She says, and he can't wrap his head around it. I go, what do you think happened? She goes, I don't know. So what do you make of that? That's a true story.
What happened to us, we went to this old amusement park. It's called Rocky Point Park in Rhode Island. It was closed down, so basically it was about 10, Friday night. It was me, my brother, and like 5 other of us, right? So we're all jammed in my friend Matt's car. So we pulled into the bar. There's nowhere else to place a park over there. So there's a bar room across the street. And it's like my friend Matt said, oh, let's go get a drink. And I'm like, well, let's go in there first, and then we'll come out and get a drink, whatever, that's fine. And it's already like, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10, whatever the heck it was. It was real early. So we pull in the lot, and we go into the park, right? We go, it took us about 10 minutes to get into there. And it was this weird bright light that shined at us. So we thought it was a cop, so we end up ditching out of there. And then we come back to the car. The parking lot is dead empty. All the lights are off, everything. I'm like, what the heck happened? So in our mind, it was like half hour the most, right? Get in the car. It's like, well, something must have happened. Maybe they lost power in the bar. They had to close down because it's still early. And my friend Matt's watch said it was like 10:30 or whatever. I mean, it was basically watches, whatever, matched the time that we were going. You know what I mean? So we got in the car, and so we're driving out of there, and all of a sudden everything's closed, and it's Friday night. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And the clock in the bank said 2:30 in the morning. And it was like, my friend Matt stopped the car. He goes, whoa, what the heck is going on? Now, and I'm like, Matt, look at the clock on your car. And the clock said 2:30. And mind you, his watch said 10, almost going on 11 now. So something happened in there that we were in there for 5 minutes, and something happened that we boosted in time. And our reality was only a couple minutes. And that, whatever reality, it was ours. It was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy stuff, man.
Wow.
Then there was another instance. We were at this Cumberland Monastery, and so basically it was about, I think, about 5 minutes to midnight. So we used to go ghost hunting at this place in Cumberland. It's an old monastery. So the cops let us, because we had a nonprofit. So there was a cop sitting there. He was like, we knew the cops in Cumberland. So he goes, guys, don't mind me. I'm just sitting here till the end of my shift. And I'm like, all right, cool. So when you get off, you go about 5 minutes. I'm just waiting another 5 minutes. So I'm going to stay here to the end of my shift, and I'm going to take off. But go have fun, guys. So we went into the woods, did our thing, right? And mind you, right, we were in there for not that long. I mean, I'm sorry, for hours. And we, at one point, that we couldn't get out of there. And we knew the place like the back of our hand. So we're in there, we're physically exhausted, drained. And because we were in there for hours on end, right? So when we finally came out of there, and the cop's still sitting there, I'm like, I thought you were going home. And he goes, what are you talking about? It's like, didn't you say you're leaving at 12? He goes, yeah. It's like, why, you guys leaving? I'm like, yeah, we've been here for hours. And the cop started laughing. It's like, yeah, don't play with me, guys. And everybody's like, no. And he's seen everybody's just exhausted. He goes, hold on, guys, because you're scaring the hell out of me, because you guys were just here 2 seconds ago. Because I just seen you guys go into the woods with my rear mirror, and you literally came right back out again, like instantly. He goes, don't be playing with me, man, because you're scaring me, because he knew that we did stuff with the police and all that. So they know we weren't jokesters or anything. And my uncle's like, no. He goes, I swear, man, I could. And the cop, he goes, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good night. Yeah, but we were like, to the cop, we was instantaneous, in and out. And in our reality, we were in there for hours on end.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It sounds like
And it was
like there's a rip in time.
Yeah, it was associated with a light, too.
With the what?
A light, again. So every time these things happen, it was always associated with some kind of a light.
Wow. The only time I ever saw a light was, and I think I told you this, is the puppies were little. Mommy had just had hers, and baby was just, Nala was just, I don't know, about 8 months. And thank God we got rid of 8 black labs. I'm like, what are we going to do with all these black labs? And there's a you know what going on and everything. But wow, the white light came through my door, and this is right at the Great American Eclipse. It was that night. I'll never forget it. And I anointed my house, and I pled the blood of Jesus over it. And all the windows and the door, and this light, and we have cathedral ceilings, came through the cathedral ceiling. I was like out, deep REM sleep. And I sat straight up in the bed and looked at it. It shined a light on my forehead, and then I couldn't figure out what it was, and then it went back to the wall. The puppies didn't wake up, and you know how black labs are very, very, very sensitive. And then my husband was snoring like crazy. And long story short, it just left. I just sat up in bed, and I was like, what was that? It wasn't until years later that I heard David Carrico teach about orphanas. And it didn't scare me. It was just like so bright. And it shined right on my forehead. And the second it went on my forehead, which I thought was weird, it just left. And I'm like, I don't know whether that's because it could see a seal of God, or if it was something that was opening my mind to where I could begin to understand all this stuff, because this is when I was first waking up to all the different avenues we've all talked about tonight, and many, many, many more. And my husband thought I was crazy. He was like, there is a rapture. I'm like, no, it's not. There's one at the end of the age. And I'm, I was trying to, he just like, who are you? But that, when you were doing a ghost hunting and the cops said, you guys are freaking me out, you better go, that is insane. You guys must have went through some kind of dimension or something. That's crazy.
Yeah. And,
wow.
Freaky stuff.
Very freaky stuff, especially when you can't explain it and you know in your brain what you've done. The fact that you were exhausted was another thing. There's always some kind of physical thing, because my friend on the phone, when we talked for like 5 hours, she says, I am so drained, and I didn't do that much today. Worked on the books, did a Bible study, helped out a little bit. And she's a heavy fitness trainer. So for her to say she was exhausted was big. So I thought that was interesting, but great show, and
Thank you.
I'm keeping up with you. I'm not always able to get on live with Luke, but I'm up to par now. So thanks for not throwing the heater at me, Jason, and you're doing great.
Thank you.
He said,
You're
thank
welcome, Demon Slayer.
you. Shalom, sister.
All right, have a great one,
You too.
guys. God bless.
Shalom, man.
All right, guys, I want to address something that's going on in the chat room. So, John Doe in the chat room, no offense, but I think you didn't come to an average, normal Christian place. This is definitely not where you come from, because we here are followers of Jesus Christ. We don't follow religion, because I know you're saying about religion. None of us here follow religion. We follow Jesus. There's a big difference between that. And no, not all Protestants read the ESV. Only the mainstream ones, though. The real people of God, we read the King James, Geneva, and older. We don't touch anything after the newer versions at all. So just a couple corrections on you. And also the Inquisition, it was about the Catholic Church banning the Bible from regular people to have it. They didn't want nobody to have it. The Inquisition, and anybody got caught, the popes had edicts that anybody got caught, especially with an English Bible or printing one in English, you'd be put to death. And that's what caused King James. And the thing is, King James, he was not at all perfect, okay? But one thing he couldn't stand with a passion was anything to do with the Pope or Catholic Church. Couldn't stand with a passion. So out of spite, because he's seeing people getting killed for printing the Bible in English. So what he did out of spite, just to piss off the Pope, he called the best scribes all over Europe, all over the Middle East, called hundreds of the best scribes he could find with money to come here and say, you know what, take the Septuagint and the Hebrew and Greek Bible, translate it to the best you can. And the thing is, if it was one period off, one mark off, they would destroy the whole thing and start fresh. He wanted the Bible the best that he could to translate to the English language and mass produce it to kill the rule of the Pope. That's what he did. And the Inquisition was, the Catholic Church was killing Christians and Protestants alike for possessing Bibles and not converting to Catholicism. So I wanted to correct you on that stuff. And no, Islam is not any way at all. And Catholic and Islam is nothing at all to do with Christianity at all. It's a Babylonian perverted. The thing is, the Catholic Church is what created Islam, the whole Muslim doctrine. They're the ones who are behind it all. And it's all the same stuff with Mary Deity and everything else. But yeah, the Quran and the Catechism are pure satanic doctrines. They have nothing to do with the Bible at all. And the Bible, yeah, people use different languages, but generally the same, So I just want to point that out because I know he's there trying to correct people, saying, you don't understand, telling Sister Joanne that she doesn't understand her own religion. Well, first of all, number one, we don't follow religion, and two, we understand a far bit more than you do. Yeah, because especially your mindset. I've just been watching the Protestant Reformation. Now he's talking about I'm talking about the Protestant Reformation, because the Protestant Reformation was people. What do you think Protestant stands for? It's protests. So Catholic priests one day, it's like, you know what? They started to read the Bible on their own time for themselves, like John Wycliffe and all them, right? They started Martin Luther reading the Bible, and then it's like, wait, this Bible's saying. Everything we're doing in this Catholic Church is contrary to what this Bible's saying. So it causes people to protest against their own Catholic Church, thus creating the Protestant movement to rebel away from the Catholic Church. You had good Catholic priests who started to figure it out that the Bible and the Catechism doesn't go hand in hand. And everything the Catholic dogma is doing is complete contrary with the Bible. So they started figuring that out. So that's when they turned away from the Catholic Church. That's what created the Protestant movement. You know what I mean? And again, the Catholic Church hated that. And also the Christians, the real Christians, not the Catholic version, real Christians from day one, even before the Catholic Church existed, they were out there preaching the Word of God. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so whichever way you look at it. So I just wanted to correct you because you're sitting there correcting people in my chat room, yeah? So I just want to let you know. And we could also talk about Eastern Orthodox and Constantine. Yeah, Constantine wasn't great. Constantine, he was the first pope, not Peter. And Constantine was a creator of the Catholic Church, and that guy was evil as they come. Nothing good about Constantine at all. He wasn't great at all in the slightest least bit. So, and the thing is, we don't follow religion here, guys. We follow the Bible. The Bible, Jesus Christ. We are not by any religion. We are followers of Jesus and His Word, the Word of God. And it's a big difference between that. And there's a big difference between religious Jesus and biblical Jesus. Big difference between biblical Jesus and Catholic Jesus. Big difference. Big difference between biblical Jesus and Islam Jesus. Big difference. So I just want to let you know that here we're, we practice spiritual warfare here and do the scriptures. That's it. You know what I mean? We don't go by what the Pope say. We could care less what a religious leader says. We could care less what the whole denomination of something says. We don't care. You know what I mean? And we go by what Jesus said. Plain and simple. Sorry, Brian. I know we had a phone thing with when somebody calls. It's
I'm just trying to.
Yeah,
I was just trying to listen in to everybody. That's why I haven't been talking.
And you said something about, I didn't know you wanted to make a comment too about the movie Noah.
Oh, yeah. So the whole fallen angel thing, and especially they was making out the Watchers to be the saviors.
Yeah.
And it was really strange how the rocks and the sea, if you go into looking into a lot of history out in the eastern countries, they actually talk about petrified giants. And I thought, and there's Stonish giants. I'm going to be doing another show on Stonish giants, and
that's awesome.
It's just interesting how they depicted that in the Noah narrative. And Anne's right. There was so much to do with Noah's family was a mess, and then there was just so many different things. It was just not biblical at any state of form. It's all for entertainment purposes, but they. Whenever the rock formations of the so-called giants turn into these angels of light after they, do their good deeds, so to speak, and they get to go back to heaven. I just thought it was really strange. The whole thing was just twisted. It was just a very. Then you got Russell Crowe, and there was giants in the earth in those days. He's talking. He's just the hell his accent. It was just funny. I'm trying to do the best impression I can, but it was just interesting. It was an interesting movie, but I wouldn't recommend watching it. It was just really strange.
Yeah.
If you're going for entertainment purposes, I guess, but then you're not getting anything biblical out of it. I don't know.
And what are your thoughts on the Dead Sea Scrolls? I'll let you answer that first.
Oh, is there? Okay. So Dead Sea Scrolls. How ironically, a Dead Sea Scrolls was found. What was it supposed to be? What was the speculation about I don't think it's speculation, but was a child throwing rocks, I think, and happened to break one of the vases. It was in one of the cavern systems, and it was in 1947. It's kind of ironic that this all happened the same time with Roswell narrative, all that. It just seems kind of strange. But Dead Sea Scrolls are very interesting. I love the whole narrative. I like I love that the fragments. We was talking about that before on the show. The Dead Sea Scroll fragments. We was talking about that in the last week's broadcast with Amram and with Moses' actual biological father, talking about the Dead Sea Scroll fragments, talking about the viper snake rapture. I mean, not the rapture. Excuse me, not rapture. Let's get that out for vocabulary. But the viper snakes that was literally watching over and debating over Amram's body. It was just really strange. I do like the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've read a lot of them, bits and pieces, and not all the way through. Haven't even read the whole Book of Enoch through. I'm still working on that. But I do think Enoch is a really good. It goes along with the biblical narrative. Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a really good book to look into. But that's the whole Dead Sea Scroll narrative. There was like a little boy throwing rocks and hit one of the vases, and then they, lo and behold, from what I remember, when I've gathered, it was from Genesis to Revelation. They found all the books of the Bible plus all these extra books, and with the Dead Sea Scrolls going along with it. But it's really strange how that all played out. And praise God that I've heard a lot of other different speculations, a lot of different narratives. I wouldn't say that they're factual, but it's a lot of weird stuff that wraps around that. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. But I did hear in Illinois, they also found fragments of the Book of Enoch in some cavern systems in Illinois, here in America. So it was kind of strange, and they were trying to debate if it was dated. Yeah, it was like in Illinois. So I was trying to debate if it was like dated the same time frame. There's a lot of speculation going on with that, but I have heard that. It's really weird, man. Strange stuff.
Yeah, I like the Book of Enoch. Yeah, it said between 1947 and 56, the Dead Sea Scrolls are ancient manuscript that were discovered between those years in 11 caves near Kerbet, Qumran, I hope I pronounced it right, in the shores of the Dead Sea. So, dating back to the 3rd century BC, whatever. So the thing is, we don't know how, they do dating things, but nobody knows exactly to get an exact date, but that could be give or take hundreds of years and maybe even 1,000 years, who knows, but so yeah, the Book of Enoch, man, like so far, like when David Carrico and John Pounders doing research with the Book of Enoch on the Enoch series, and it doesn't contradict Scripture. It really doesn't. And the Book of Enoch lays out the creation in detail and scientific detail, and also the end times when Jesus returns. And the thing is, like the Book of Enoch, I think that was pushed aside because the thing is, Enoch acknowledged Jesus as a Messiah long before he was even born. So I think that's how, like the I would say the Messianics trying to push away, the Kabbalists, you know what I mean, because they don't want to recognize Jesus the Messiah. So I think that's another reason why they put so much dirt on the Book of Enoch. Now, Enoch 2 and 3, it was a Jewish rabbi that wrote that, which you don't follow those because there's nothing to do with Enoch at all. But the first Book of Enoch, the fragments of, and there's some fragments of Book of Noah too in there too. So, but if you match it with Scripture, the thing is you test things according to the Bible. If you say stuff against the Bible and it matches the Bible, there you go. It's something to trust. But if it contradicts the Bible, then it's something you want to throw away. Such as the Don Gnostics text. You know what I mean? When anything to do with Gnostics, don't trust it all. They're, yeah, it's because the guy on my Facebook page keeps promoting Gnostics garbage. You know what I mean? And he keeps promoting that crap, and it's like, it's all lies. It's a lot of the lies out of the pits of hell. The Gnostics, basically, they call themselves Gnosis, like they were smart, they have knowledge and all that. They were basically what the Illuminati are today, to claim to be the illuminated ones, you know what I mean? But it was a satanic cult, exactly what it is. And yeah, nothing did, and they try to counterfeit Jesus to distort. And all through time, they try to do that. Even before, thousands of years before his coming, they tried to distort the coming of Jesus, like with the whole Nimrod and Semiramis thing, to claim that she was a virgin immaculate conception when she was no such thing. She was a temple prostitute, and she got pregnant by one of these people and married her own son, then got pregnant off him with Tammuz, and so, she was far from the immaculate conception, but all through time, they've been trying to alter or mimic in the perverted way the coming of Jesus to distort the entire thing, So even to this day, they're still trying to do this stuff. So all through time, and talk about time travel, all through time they've been, and they're still today trying to distort anything to do with Jesus. So and now the History Channel is promoting this Gnostics garbage. The Knights Templar, the real Holy Grail, is the bloodline of Jesus. Saying that Mary, Magdalene, and Jesus went on. They secretly got away, went on to have kids and a family, and they got this royal bloodline that the Knights Templar protect. And that's a bunch of hogwash. The thing is, for Jesus to even have a blood, and number one, makes no spiritual significance at all. None. At all. And the thing is, if he had kids with Mary, it would defeat the entire purpose of him coming there. Jesus didn't go secretly off with Mary Magdalene. Jesus went into the Spirit again and left. He's sitting at the right hand of God. He's not sitting there diddling around with Mary Magdalene. These people are insane. They really are. They come up with these cockamamie stories over and over again. And the thing is, if you actually take notice, right, listen to every one of these so-called theories and stories, right, it all comes from the same place. It all comes from, it's a regurgitated information presented in a different way. That's all it is. And it's from the father of lies, Satan himself.
Yeah. Dan, I apologize. I guess the internet was kind of getting a goofy. I apologize. It was freezing up. I don't know if it was on my end or not. I want to say I'm sorry. It was froze up on my screen there, but I heard every word you said. And yeah, what a good show tonight, Dan. Yeah, I'm glad to have all the nice callers call in, and I was just listening to everybody. I know Max was like, "Oh, Brian, I didn't get." I really wasn't talking much. whenever she was talking to anybody, because I wanted to hear everybody, your all's time. I mean, I don't want to interrupt you all calling. Y'all have heard me talk all night. I wanted to just soak everything in that you all wanted to share. And I appreciate y'all's time. I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I was real quiet during the whole time. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got like I forgot who was just asked about something about creation, if it was literally a day or what we thought about that and God's limitations. The thing is, like, something about physics. Here's the thing too. I got into a discussion with somebody today. So the thing is, like, they say, well, the laws of physics, right? Here's the thing. Which the laws of physics? It's a measurement set and the measurement and limitation set by man. So in other words, in the scientific community, right? This is how it is, right? That's why the word paranormal came along. So basically, in the scientific community, when something they couldn't understand that defied their laws, so first of all, they try to it doesn't exist, even though they see it in their face because it's out of the realm of their physical laws, right? It doesn't exist. So then later on, they created a paranormal thing to say, oh, we could study the paranormal, but it's still, it's not that mainstream because it still violates the laws of physics or in their set laws. The thing is, the laws of physics and all that, they're limitations set by man. In the spirit world with God, there's no limitations. God's not limited by our limitations. He does what he wants, how he wants. My voice is starting to break up, yeah. So, yeah. God's not limited by... So, if he created in one day, yeah, I mean, when God created the earth in one day, it could literally be a day or 1,000 years, I don't know. But regardless, he's not bound by our laws of, physics and theory of relativity and whatnot, whatever they throw out. So that's what scientists can't explain. Now, academia, oh, yeah, they're smart. They're on top of it, you know what I mean? But they can't, when it breaks into the spiritual realm, they can't comprehend it. And it is, it's like the Bible says, the darkness can't comprehend the light. And that's what it is. That's all darkness taught in the school. So these people who devote the entire life into the academia, right, become professors, become doctrines in these particular subjects. It is not that they're dumb. They're not dumb people. It's because they've been trained in a different way, but the thing is they got this mind control over them, and that they're a stronger mind control than the average person, and it's a block in the head. So they can't comprehend these things. And anything spiritual they can't comprehend. So what they'll do is they'll try to make you look like a fool by presenting. Actually, let me get that quote. Hold on a second. I got this off the internet today. So a guy named Frank Zappa, I forgot exactly who he was, but he says, schools train people to be ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be functional ignoramus. So they give you the equipment to make you a functional ignoramus. So these American schools, right? And they do not equip you to deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria to judge between good and bad in any medium or format. And they prepare you to be a usable victim for military-industrial complex that needs manpower. So that, smart enough to run the ship and dumb enough to push the buttons, how that goes. But yeah, so that's how they are. If you look at people in the academia world, right, and that have zero knowledge of this spiritual warfare and all that, so they'll look down on you when you talk about this stuff, right? And because they present themselves to be ignoramus, and they chuckle like they're above you, because in the academia world they can't comprehend the spiritual stuff. And again, because it's all darkness taught, they can't comprehend the light like the Bible says. So that's why people can't get the concept, and they think everything's going to be limited to what they set as limitations and laws. That's not the case with God. God says all things are possible. When Jesus says, it's more possible for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than the rich man to get to heaven, right? Right? Absolutely. He says that, which sounds impossible. And he says that. To man, it's impossible, right? But to God, it's not. Anything's possible with God. So, yes, technically, if you get a real needle, and if it's possible with God, he could put a real camel through the eye of that needle. There's no impossibilities with God. You know what I mean? So, and I don't want to explain the whole parable because it takes a while, but you get the point. He has nothing that's impossible with God. When you deal with God, it's a whole new realm, a whole new system, and everything you learn in school and all that, you take that right out the wind because it means nothing. So I'm done ranting here.
It's been a great show, Dan.
Yeah.
I thank you for thank you for I just thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you, man.
Yeah, it's been a good show. I'm very thankful for it today. I was just very thankful to get on here. It's kind of been a rocky week, so this is refreshing, and
Yeah.
I hope everybody enjoyed it. And and thank you all. Seriously, thank you all for being here, everybody. It's a blessing.
Yeah, and Jason, he's still rocking over here.
Yeah, Jason's rocking. Yeah, we're coming up on 4 hours, aren't we, Dan? Something like that.
Yep, 3 hours and 40 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think my voice. I'm starting to get charged up now. Figures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know.
Well, anyway,
But-
guys, thank you. You got any closing words, by the way?
I'm just thankful. Like I said, I was just thankful, and everybody comes on here and get on here with us every Friday night. It's just a blessing. I'm glad to be part of it. A lot of people in here just chiming in, giving me a hard time and joking with me and cutting up. I enjoy the fellowship. And I appreciate the callers, and thank you for the moderators. I know Uncle Obvious, Valerie. I know, bless you all. And then I got old Jason in the background moderating, But yeah, and like I said, thank you all so much.
Yeah,
And seriously,
absolutely.
subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Dan Bidondi Show, subscribe to Visual Disturbance. We hit that like button for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you again, once again, Valerie and Uncle Obvious for moderating the chat. And thank you, Harold, for the continuous awesome Bible verses. And thank you, every one of you, just being who you are. So support
Absolutely.
the ministry. And again, one more time, guys, when we hit the outro, hit the pause button, and it'll buy you some more time to fellowship in the chat. And if it allows you to stay in all night, go for it. But other than that, I gotta get home. My throat is like on fire right now. So, so guys, actually, you want to close out in prayer, Brian?
Yeah, sure. I will. Dear Father in heaven, there's many people in need tonight. Be with Miss Joy. Hope she finds her husband. I think that's what I read in the chat. Be with all the callers. Be with me and Dan. I've had a really rough week. I know that if we just literally just humble ourselves to you, Father, we come to the throne to take all these things. It's just this evil world that we're walking in. Give us peace. Give us joy. I pray, Lord, that this world doesn't take away it. It's just consumed with all this evil and wickedness. It doesn't make any sense, but I know that the Holy Ghost will lead us in the right direction, and we hang on to the garment of Jesus in this narrow path that we're on. I pray, Lord, for the Holy Spirit to guide us in knowledge and wisdom. And I pray our grandchildren, our children can just grow in the Word and abide in you, that we can walk that righteous walk and walk with you and walk with your Son. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for Brother Dan. I just pray for my health, and I pray for just spiritual all around, just everything, my family and Brother Dan's family, and just thank you for all that you do. Be with Brother Jason in the background there at the studio at Dan. Just protect us, and I pray Brother Dan gets to feeling better, and his wife and everything. And thank you for all that you do. Christ Jesus, I ask. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks. And so we'll be next Friday. I think we'll probably drag Trey on.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Let's get Trey Boy.
Trey Boy, gonna come back on. A monthly show with Trey. And his show is Course Correction Radio. And also Jason's and Trey's and Visual Disturbance. Yeah, all their shows, if you go into the description, right at the bottom, I put all three at the bottom so it's easy to find. And just subscribe to their channels, guys, please. And if you take a second to do that, and just hit the back button. But again, if you want to stay in the chat, just hit pause as soon as we hit the outro. So love you all. God bless and Shabbat Shalom. And remember, you are the resistance.